When the lights go down in the city. Huh? Yeah, he could retire again. I'll take over. All right, let's see what I'm doing here. It is 5:45. I'm Danny Bonaduce. This is KZOK. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Lost.
Why?
I think
Wait,
you did.
first of all, you're in the room.
No.
Yeah, we know where you are. You're
You
right
got
there.
here. It's all right.
Yesterday, you said your Uber driver got lost, which was pretty shocking because you just go straight and take a left.
Right.
This morning...
No, left.
This morning on my way to work, I drove right past the radio station, like almost went to Pike Place Market before I realized I have no idea where I am.
Now, let me tell you what happens if you are, in fact, me. People would say, hearing that story, oh, that's adorable. What they think is, relapse. I knew it. I knew he couldn't hold it together. But with you, those, believe it or not, I've gotten lost driving home, found myself on little side streets. There's a thing they call road hypnosis. I believe Paul suffers from that. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. I often don't even know half my commute. I just go, oh, hey, I'm there already. What
that's
happened?
Weird.
I mean,
I've
I'm
spent a lot
aware
of time.
I'm aware of my surroundings, but I just don't remember it.
Yeah.
I have comedy hypnosis. I don't remember even being that brilliant. Yet I walk around the streets down by Pike Place Market, wherever the hell you're on. People go, hey, I don't really know about you. But so I just real quick, well, I guess not real quick, super excited about Steve Perry today. Yeah?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah, we've been talking about this guy most of our career in Seattle. Wouldn't you say, Sarah?
I absolutely. Most of our career, period, because Journey has been a part of our lives for forever.
Right, but Journey being a great band that goes without even saying, hey, what's up with Steve Perry? Why is he following around the Eels? Is he ever going to come back? Is he ever going to do another album by himself? I don't remember when Journey broke up and when Steve Perry got so on my radar about what's going to happen in his life. But we're going to find out today, I believe right around 7:45.
Yep. Steve
Perry is going to call this here radio station and tell us what's been going on with his life. So I am beside myself with joy, although I hope he's no Rob Schneider. I mean that sincerely. He is no Rob Schneider.
Because Rob Schneider failed to call us when he was supposed to? Is that what you mean? Or just the fact that he was half asleep and not very funny?
Well, both of those were bad.
I mean, Steve Perry's not funny. He's no Rob Schneider. No, I mean exactly that he failed to call us that one day.
But you're right, Danny, that for as long as Journey has been part of our lives, pretty much, Steve Perry has kind of not been part of our lives, and that he's been missing, and we've all wondered, where'd he go, and when is he coming back, and what's going to happen?
So theoretically, we will answer those questions and more with Steve Perry himself. As a matter of fact, the single that we're going to be playing and we're going to talk to him about is called No Erasing, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Does it mean what it implies? No, I'm going to live with my past. There's no G on erasing. So I'm just making this up. Do you know what it means?
There's kind of a double meaning, he says, because the song, if you just take the lyrics on their face value, they're about a man going back to his high school reunion and kind of rekindling some old relationships that he had in high school and reliving some of those old days. But also, it's kind of him doing the same thing with fans, with the audience as he comes back into music.
Now, do you know that to be true, or are you just sensitive?
I mean, I've heard him say that.
Sensitive.
Well, I don't know. You know what I mean? Is everybody can interpret something entirely different from the next guy. So I just thought maybe you heard the album and went, oh, I know what he really means. Like like when Chumbawamba sings, you really think I can figure that out. I know what they meant in their hearts. Those little wumbas.
Well, I'm not sensitive enough to figure out Chumbawamba for sure.
He actually put out a pretty lengthy explanation about his return and this album.
Chumbawamba did?
Yes, Chumbawamba is a big fan of Steve Perry.
Well, there's no Rob Schneider.
Yeah, but he put out a pretty lengthy statement when he released this single yesterday. And so I'm guessing that Paul may have read the entire thing as opposed to being sensitive, because we know that's not Paul.
A little column A, a little column B. I can be sensitive.
I disagree vehemently. I think his whole thing is an act. I think Paul's, I'm a bad guy. I don't care. Nobody likes me, and that's okay because I don't like. I think it's crap. I think he's a sweet boy. I think he loves his wife and does say that. I don't know about on the air, but certainly off the air. Takes care of his parents. Loves Jelly Bean. Yeah, it's all an act. He's. I don't like anybody. What Muppet am I? I don't like anybody. They're bad.
How did we switch from analyzing the psychology of Steve Perry to all of a sudden doing the same to me? I don't know what happened
because I find you fascinating, like every other day of the week, Paul. No, I just because Sarah asked why I thought you were sensitive or whatever, and I just do. I just think you're a way nicer guy than you let on.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, because you know why? You know, it's a weird thing, in my opinion, that this makes you a little bit uncomfortable, and that's because you don't want people to know what a nice guy you are. But we all know.
I like that you're making him uncomfortable.
Well, don't let anybody else find out. Do me that favor.
I'll keep it nice. Well, maybe we can bring back the old Paul and the. I don't even know what I've got. I think I have an issue here real quick. Went to my neighbor's house. They have an adorable little dog. They're nice people. I don't remember their names till somebody says something to the other neighbor, but they're nice. They're my neighbors. Cute dog, blah, blah, blah. Pet, pet, pet. Love, love, love. And then I was getting out of a chair that I guess to the dog looked like I was leaning towards the lady that owns the house, and he leapt off her lap and in midair bit me right on the boob, like literally around the nipple, and bit hard as it was falling to the ground. Now it's a
Your nipple fell to the ground or the dog?
No, the very good question. The doggy fell to the ground, but the nipple, the shirt was torn and the nipple was bleeding, and that it hurts. It still hurts, and so. She went to throw it outside, and I said, oh, no, he just thought I was moving towards you, and I went to pet it, and this one's definitely my fault, and it bit me again. It didn't break the skin on the second bite, but I'd show you, but it's a little insensitive about how sensitive it is, but it looks ugly. I got bit by a dog on the boob. What do I do?
What kind of dog was it?
Little yappy dog.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with those small dogs. They get really protective like that. I think it's certainly the second time is your fault for, reaching in at it.
I thought the same thing. Right. I thought the exact same thing. But do you see any, is it recompense, circumstance? Do I have any action? Do I want to do anything about this?
How apologetic was the owner?
Very.
I think you just kind of move on, unfortunately.
You don't want a lawsuit,
I would bite the bullet. But the dog said, oh, no. But do I demand an apology? Do I?
From the dog?
Yes, and I would never do this to call the, I forget which one you would call.
Animal control or
that one, those guys, and report this dog, because the dog's not going to go out of the house and hurt anybody. But I just wondered what you guys, do I set their house on fire?
Yes.
But basically, the vibe I'm getting is, shut up, you got bit by a little dog, your bleeding nipple's almost funny, and we don't really care about your boob. That's what I get.
A 17-year-old girl was wounded in a shooting that appears to have stemmed from a road rage incident in Capitol Hill last night. Officers responded to reports of shots fired. This was 5 o'clock near 22nd Avenue and East Pine. This is a narrow residential street, one of those that only has room for one car to pass at a time. So typically, like Queen Anne, you need to pull over and then someone gets to go and then you go.
If there's a place to pull over, that I always say, the three of us, and certainly my wife, we have things that we say to each other and that we say all the time, jokes that we all know. One of the things I say to my wife all the time, we get on those streets and a car's coming and I'm going the other direction and there's nowhere to pull over. And then the staring contest begins. And it stays like, Queen Anne ladies, Queen Anne guys, whatever it is, are fairly tough until you get out of the car. And then they think, oh, what's that? We should back up out of here. But I would be in a fight every day. So I'm sorry that poor girl was shot, but man, that's craziness.
Well, she did pull over and let the person pass. This other car was a black Cadillac Escalade. She pulled over. The Cadillac was able to maneuver down the street, but was angry for some reason and fired a shot at the girl's car, hitting her in the arm. The teen was obviously stunned, hit a parked car, and the person driving that Cadillac drove off. 2 young women were taken to the hospital, the driver and her passenger, non-life-threatening injuries, and the gang unit is now investigating.
Yeah, and something like that, although I've never, the shock and surprise all the time in my life that there's something they never got over. And that might be that for that poor little girl.
Yeah. And yesterday we talked about the tragic story of a 14-year-old who was killed in an accidental gun shooting by a 16-year-old friend at a home in Burien.
Right.
We are now finding out that they have taken the 16-year-old into custody. He was questioned by detectives. He was then arrested and booked into the youth service center for investigation of manslaughter. They are now calling it an unintentional shooting rather than an accidental shooting, and they're still trying to determine who owns the gun and how he came to be in possession of it.
All right, we talked about this yesterday. I think whoever owns that gun is, in today's environment, is probably in some trouble. But what's the difference between an accidental firing and a, what was the next one?
Unintentional.
Isn't that an accidental? Aren't they the same thing?
I mean, I think the slight difference is that, or the big difference, really slight difference in the wording, but the gun didn't malfunction. It's not like, you were cleaning the gun and it went off, or you dropped the gun and it went off. The gun.
What happens when people get shot by a gun that they were positive is unloaded? Which is that?
I guess that would be unintentional. Again, the gun didn't, the gun performed exactly how it was intended.
So they're not saying any malice on the 16-year-old.
Right, that he thought that it was empty, but it obviously wasn't. But it's not a malfunction of the gun, so it's not an accident. He pulled the trigger.
No, it's not a malfunction.
That's what I'm saying. It's not a malfunction.
That's exactly what he just said.
But I got it. We all agree it's not a malfunction. The gun did exactly what it was supposed to do. The thing I'm going with is if this kid's got no malice in his heart, well, I guess if it's accidental manslaughter or whatever they're going to go with, there'll be no real charge. It'll be a slap on the wrist because they have to do it. But accidents are accidents no matter how horrible.
Right. I think they're saying it's not an accident, but it was unintentional.
All right.
Health officials are warning the public to avoid contact with the water of Sinclair Inlet near Bremerton after 80,000 gallons of sewage spilled from Naval Base Kitsap.
Why did somebody have 80,000 gallons of sewage?
Well, that's what gets generated at a naval base. You store it and then you got to put it somewhere.
Right, but why isn't it going down pipes and into the sewer? And why do they store it? Why do they have like a gigantic septic tank?
Or is it on board these giant ships? I mean, they've got to have some sort of holding tank, right?
The Kitsap Health District says a spill occurred during a 2-week period ending Tuesday, and the advisory will remain in effect until the 21st. The initial notice from the district attributed the spill to the Puget Sound Naval Shipyard, but the shipyard says, no, this happened at the Navy base. And then the Department of Ecology says, yeah, it does look like it came from the Navy base, but no information about the cause of the spill has been revealed. What we do know is if you come into contact with that, ew, gross, yuck, disgusting.
That's an official determination. Ew, gross. Hey, Paul, if you're right and it did happen on a boat, do you remember where it happened?
At the Navy shipyard.
The poop deck. Come on, Paul.
We're disappointed in you, Paul.
It certainly wasn't in the duty-free area.
There you go. Ask my boy.
This morning, all eyes were on Nashville International Airport after former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee tweeted that his plane had been quarantined. Now, this was an American Airlines flight that had landed in Nashville, and we don't know why, but somebody on that plane was quite ill and they quarantined the plane. Now, Mike Huckabee was tweeting throughout this whole ordeal, and we are now finding out moments ago that this plane has been cleared, and the person who was ill was taken off the plane wearing some sort of face mask. And we do not know yet what the illness was, but everyone was given the all clear to continue.
Oh, that is such a drag because everybody's scared, and Sarah and I have talked about this 100 times about planes just being tubes full of germs. Now, if I'm Huckabee, I'm kind of screwed because I use dictation to do my tweets and texts and things like that. So I'd be on the plane with my phone right up to my mouth going, the guy next to me is so sick, period. I hate him, period. I kind of wish half this plane would blow up, period. And then everybody would go, oh, man, so you're going to have to learn to spell, Bonaduce.
I am wondering if they told them on the plane what the sickness was, or if they're all just now wondering, what might I have?
I got to guess, but the guess is that nobody on that plane is qualified to tell you that this guy's got measles or smallpox or Ebola or whatever it is. I think they knew a guy was very sick and they're radioing ahead saying, we're going to land. Somebody's got to get a hazmat suit and get this guy out of here. But I don't think they knew what it was.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of those are a little more acceptable, like the measles over Ebola. I'd rather have the measles. Yeah, just saying. And in Philadelphia, a man pulled a gun during a dispute with another customer in a checkout line of Walmart, got so angry he pulled a gun out and opened fire, wounding several people before fleeing the scene. He was later found and arrested after crashing into a police vehicle.
Intentionally?
I don't believe so. I think he was being chased and lost control of the car. Now, all victims sustained non-life-threatening injuries, but this was a crowded store, and a man and a woman were wounded in their legs. Another person had a graze wound. A fifth person also taken to the hospital. A pregnant woman was taken to the hospital after a fall, trying to flee all of the gunfire.
Oh, poor baby, literally.
But you wonder, what the heck was said in this line that led somebody to pull out their gun and open fire?
This, no cuts. That's it. That's all it takes for me.
Well, they do believe that shooter may have been on some type of drugs, and they are going to, they've taken some blood, and he's in custody of the police now.
As running and crashing your car, that happens all the time. Let me caution you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, don't run. The police want you. They're going to get you. You're going to, crash. The helicopter's going to get you. The infrared heat sensors are going to get you, or the dogs are going to get you. Take a lesson from your old Uncle Dan. Run at a reasonable speed.
And you made it, too. You made it all the way home. You almost got away.
Into the house and into bed.
And how did that work out for you?
Not great.
A trip to Vegas sounds like more fun than a police chase. So text that word right now to 200-200 for your chance to win.
Bernie Sanders was talking with Stephen Colbert on The Late Show, and it looks like he might gear up for another shot at the White House.
Isn't he 100?
He is. He's 77, which is close.
That's pretty
can't
close.
do it.
Yep. Well, he was asked, what do you think? And he said, well, my focus is now on 2018 and to do everything I can to end a one-party rule of the House and Senate. It's too early to be talking about 2020. And Colbert said, well, are you going to rule out another run? And he said, no.
Well, you might as well, because here's what happens if Bernie Sanders runs. What you'll be doing, in my opinion, is you'll be voting for the vice president. You can't just not that I wish anything ill to happen to the guy. He seems like a real nice old grandpa kind of character. But in 2020, how old did you say, 77?
Yep.
Let's make him 80 for 2020 because we don't know when his birthday is. You don't elect a president at 80. He gets sworn in at 81, and then Lord knows what's going to happen. And if anything happened like to Trump, which we all hope does not, Pence would be president. So you have to very carefully pick the vice president when somebody's that old.
We talked about her yesterday, and there is an update to that Florida state political candidate, a woman out of Florida named Melissa Howard, who got busted for claiming she had a marketing degree from Miami University in Ohio, and turns out totally false. Well, they said you lied. You said you graduated from a college that you didn't and didn't get this degree. And she said, well, I'm going to continue running. Until now, she says, yeah, I'm going to drop out of the race.
Oh.
She just took too much heat.
She said, I've come to the realization that the right thing to do for my community is to withdraw from the race. I made a terrible error in judgment, and I am thankful for everyone who gave me so much towards my success, and I am deeply sorry.
When people that I have seen have something like this happen to them, and much worse, to be honest with you, they're at home, they're crying, what do? I can't leave the house, people hate me. I don't know what this lady looks like. If she was sitting down next to me at Denny's, I'm not going to boo her and say, hey, you're the fake college person, aren't you? Everybody gets too worked up. Her life will go on. It's not a fantastic lie, but Nixon was president, and he didn't tell the truth even once. Let's see. What's his face? Clinton. I loved that guy. He couldn't tell the truth for tying his tie. It's just something that evades some politicians. She'll be fine.
Yeah, I don't even care that she lied about her college degree. I care that she was terrible at it. She didn't even bother to do a Google search and see if they had that major at that college.
Yeah, she is a little too stupid to run. Oh, Florida.
Yes.
Oh, Florida.
Well, Florida.
Sometimes stupid people run and win. It happens.
This is true.
Yeah. Sarah Palin was governor.
Yeah.
A real governor of a major of a state.
Yeah. Yeah, you had to change major state
Yeah, I
to
did, yeah.
just state.
Well, 50% of your constituents aren't legally allowed to vote anymore since their prison stint.
Corona beer maker Constellation is making a big bet on weed. The company Constellation, who makes a bunch of different kinds of beer like Corona and Negro Modelo, they have invested $4 billion in the Canadian company Canopy Growth, which is $191 million last October. But now they said, yep, we are all in. $4 billion investment in this Canadian weed company.
Wow.
That seems like a really good bet. You know, the weed in some ways is the future. I don't think it's the light bulb or the automobile kind of future, but you know, lots and lots and lots and lots of people smoke pot or drink pot or eat pot, which is a nice and new thing. But $4 billion seems excessive.
Yeah,
$4 billion. You invest $4 billion in General Motors, not in some pot company in Canada.
It's a huge, huge sum of money.
And do we know, are they going to partner with them and make a pot beer? A couple of different companies have done that so far.
Yes and no. They are making a beverage, but it will not be beer.
Okay. Well, speaking of beer, tomorrow morning at 7:50, if you can tell us where Sarah's Beaver's been, you could win a $50 gift card to Georgetown Brewing.
Really?
Well,
Georgetown?
That's pretty nice.
Oh, it's my favorite brewery.
To my knowledge, they do not have a pot beer yet, but it wouldn't surprise me if they put something out.
You know, when I do the drinking pot thing, there's a company called Happy Apple, and they have this mildly effervescent apple, kind of murky-looking, milky apple juice.
Yeah.
And those things are yummy. But the problem with them is you never know. Like, you could take a bunch to get pretty high, and an hour later not be pretty high, so you take some more, and the next thing you know, you're pretty high from the first part. And then you think, oh, my God, when the second part, I got to get to the hospital immediately. So everybody be careful on your pot soda.
A fancy tarantula taco has been selling at a Mexico City restaurant for $27.
Did you say tarantula taco?
I sure
Yes, you did.
Oh, my gosh.
A tarantula taco, and this restaurant in Mexico City posted a video to Facebook showing the chef torching it till it's blackened, and showed the entire
Does he burn
cooking.
the hairs off? I don't want a
Yep.
hairy
Yes,
taco.
Yep.
yes.
Well, you may
You've
not
never
realize.
had a hairy taco. Come on, Paul. I think we've all had a hairy taco at least once.
I thought I could just fly that right by you, but apparently I cannot.
Turns out, in Mexico, tarantulas are a protected species. This is
Oh, wow.
illegal.
That's what's illegal in Mexico.
Yep.
Yeah, not drugs.
They kept looking till they found that,
Yeah.
eating tarantulas.
Yep. Well, they were just dumb enough to put it on their Facebook page. A lot of criminals seem to do, but they maybe were not aware that you
Maybe we're not
cannot
aware.
serve that.
Yeah, I was most certainly unaware. I went out of my way to get bit by a tarantula one time, and it would not bite me. No matter how much I bugged it, it would not bite me.
Oh, gosh.
And why
They
did
were
you
doing
want it
this-
to bite you?
Thank you, because we're doing this animal segment on the other half. At the very same time, everybody's talking about canceling my third show, which I think is a major strike against me. So I thought, when I'm playing with this tarantula, if I could get it to bite me on live TV, they'd go, oh, we got to watch what Danny will do next. And the bastard would not bite.
Aw.
No.
And then
Yeah,
your
I
show
know.
got canceled?
Yeah, my show got canceled. I don't think the tarantula would have saved it.
New Zealand's home prices are among the highest in the world, and the country says they have finally had enough. They're planning to make their real estate market more affordable for locals by banning foreigners from buying homes there. They said a lot of people pretend to live in New Zealand. They want to buy a house in New Zealand because it's such a hot housing market, and it's driving up the prices for actual residents. So if you are a foreign buyer, you cannot buy a home in New Zealand.
Well, first of all, now I understand why our friend Andrew left. And secondly, that seems terrible. Imagine what would happen and what would you do and what would I do in the protests so that we would all make if President Trump said no more foreigners being able to buy things. Their money's no good. We don't accept. We won't let that's outlandish to me.
That's been a big reason, though, why the rental market here has gone up so
Yep.
fast, is because there's been a lot of outside investors, foreign investors, that have bought up properties, a lot of downtown, and then all of a sudden they control so many properties, they just keep raising the rates on rentals.
Yeah, but flatly, the answer to that is not no foreigners. You can't say it. You can't do it. You can't back it up. New Zealand, not not America, but, I've spent a lot of time in Australia. I know New Zealand reasonably well. It's the land of the friggin' Hobbit. How can they be so nasty?
Well, I hope you aren't planning on buying your little Hobbit house because
I was not.
You're not allowed to. Things are a little bit strange in Slovenia. A total...
How strange. Was that not right, Paul?
No, that was right. Totally right. I'm sorry.
Do it again.
Go ahead, Sarah.
What did I say? I forgot.
Things are a little strange.
Things are a little strange in Slovenia.
How strange are they?
Are they?
Yeah, that's exactly how it goes.
No,
I'm glad we
that's
did
what
that.
happens. Yeah.
I'm so glad we did
Thank
that.
Thank God for the rehearsals.
Okay, ready? Things are so strange in Slovenia.
How strange are they?
Strange are they? How?
Oh, jeez.
Maybe we should try this in a different language. Apparently English
Okay.
isn't our best.
Fernie, gurney, Slovenia.
All right, Sarah's got it.
They've just set a Guinness World Record for the most people scything in one place.
Really?
Yeah.
I
500.
do not know what that means.
I'm not even sure how to pronounce that
They're
word.
using
It's like a
You're right.
like
You
a
said it just
sickle,
right. It's
right?
like a sickle.
Yeah,
Yes.
just like a sickle. Except it has a shorter handle. Sickle with a shorter handle.
But so
Or
what
a
do you
longer
call
handle.
it when it's like
Yeah,
that?
but-
Are you scything?
Yeah, I think
Here's
you're
the
scything.
problem. Here's the problem with that. To break a world record, the most people doing it, they had to hack the legs off at least 6 people.
Why?
Because think of the motion it takes to scythe. Apparently, I'm in a room full of people that don't scythe. You swing it from your right shoulder down past your knees and up like a golf, like in reverse of a golf swing.
Well, there's
Now
room.
imagine.
There's room to spread out in Slovenia because those
How do
500,
you know?
those 570 people who are scything are the entire population of Slovenia.
Not anymore. Now there's less.
The participants ranged in age from 16 to 88. They had to scythe for 15 minutes, which they did in Skofje Jokli field.
Yeah.
And they have now set the Guinness World Record for the most people scything.
Now, were they actually scything a scythe? Like wheat is usually what they do with that. Were they doing that or just swinging a knife?
Grass. They cut grass.
All right, so they like it makes any sense. Who cares? I don't care about Slovenia, and I don't care about sliving or you know what I mean. And I certainly don't care about the Guinness Book of World Records anymore. It's all silly.
It's time for today's Things Are Not Right in Florida. Story of the day.
Yay!
God got busted in Florida, you guys.
It's about time.
A man and a woman were at their home on Palm Drive. They told police they heard a knock at the door. The woman opened the door, and there stood a man, clad only in blue boxers. She said, "Looks like the neighbor, but why is he only wearing blue boxers?"
Yeah.
He forced his way in. They were able to push him out. She then called 911. He stood in front of their house and was yelling things. When police arrived at the scene, they said, "Okay, sir, what's your name?" He said, "God." "This is what's your date of birth?" "God." "Where do you live?" "God."
What a conversationalist.
So God was arrested. He was taken into custody without further incident, and they're still trying to figure out, is he really God?
I'm betting on no.
Are they really trying to figure that out?
Well, they're pretty sure he's the neighbor and his name is Steve.
Yeah, because I gotta go. The blue boxer shorts give him away as not being my personal savior.
Oh, Florida.
Oh, Florida.
Florida. Wow.
It's official. Aerosmith and Vegas, baby. We've got the details. Give those to you next in music news. How would you feel about a Genesis reunion? Well,
Wow.
Phil Collins says it's possible with one caveat. When it comes to country music, a legend has been dethroned. We'll tell you what the throne was. And one of Danny's peers is in trouble with the law. And all the Mariners news next in sports. Yesterday, the band Aerosmith performed on stage for the Today Show. This is an outdoor concert, the series that they do in Central Park. And Aerosmith, this was only the second time they performed this year. They wanted to take to the stage, do a little concert, and then announce their Las Vegas residency.
Right.
Well, they did just that. They announced an 18-date tour. Well, not tour, residency. It's called Deuces Are Wild, and it'll be at Vegas's Park Theater. I guess this is at the MGM Park, and it starts April 6th of next year and runs through July 9th. They said that they'll be never-before-seen visuals. They're going to do everything they can to make this a true Aerosmith show, but also very special, have a totally different element for this residency in Vegas.
I'm excited about it. I think that will be great. I'm a big fan of the band, although Steven Tyler specifically is getting some fairly bad press this morning, and apparently it's all gone viral. And I'm on Steve's side with this, so he's walking to do that Today Show thing that you were just talking about, right?
Yeah.
A fan grabs him, puts his arm around him, and tries to take a selfie. And from this is what I understand, because I just learned about this, so I haven't actually seen the video that a lot of people are talking about. That he tried to take a selfie, and Steven Tyler, who weighs 125 pounds at best, shoved this guy really hard, and it's all they got it taped because they're shooting his entrance, and it's all over the internet right now. Steven Tyler and Steve, and I think he's right, not apologizing. He says, "I don't have time, bro. This is live TV," and walks to the stage.
Yeah, it looks like it might have been you right live on the Today Show. I'm watching the video now, and he's not. He does kind of shove him off. He ducks under the guy's arm and kind of pushes him to the side so that he can pass. It's not like he pushes the guy on the ground or shoves him into a barrier or anything.
Totally. So why is Steven Tyler coming off in some of the internet, the ones that I'm reading, he shoves an innocent fan? I have not seen the video, but just the text of what I hear happened was the fan was, you don't own Steven Tyler. In a way, he works for you, but you can't just stop him from doing what he's doing. I say fans' fault.
Yeah, I say that as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. Most of these articles are saying that this guy broke through a security barrier, so I'm not sure why anyone would blame Steven Tyler for a fan trying to mob him as he takes the stage on live television. Doesn't sound like he did anything wrong.
It doesn't, but a lot of people are going, "Hey, that's a fan. How could you? Why don't you stop?" So like I said, I think we now all agree we're all on Steven Tyler's page.
So Aerosmith residency, Las Vegas, the Park Theater, April 6th through July 9th. And this was a big announcement for a lot of people who want to go take part in something like this when they go to Vegas. They're also working with the producer Giles Martin, who's a son of George Martin, and the guy who did the Beatles' Love by Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah.
So they're partnering with somebody with a lot of it. Yeah, you went to that pretty recently, right, Paul?
Yeah, we did. Just about 6 months ago, we went and saw that show. It's really good.
I really liked it. I like all those Cirque du Soleil shows. I like the one, when they said they were going to start diving into pools and stuff, I said, you've gone too far. But I saw that one too, and it was great. The Beatles one is great. I have not been disappointed yet in one of those shows.
A lot of people have been calling for a Genesis reunion. Phil Collins does suffer from some nerve damage, which makes it very difficult for him to play drums. Now, Phil Collins announced he is doing some tour dates, but for years now, he has not been able to play the drums. So some people have said, I'm not sure how a Genesis reunion could happen. And Phil Collins said, well, I'd be happy to do a Genesis reunion. I love the guys, but my son Nicholas would have to play the drums.
Yeah, so Nicholas is actually only 17 years old, and he plays in a band called What You Know. There's not much information about him out there, but he did play on his Not Dead Yet tour.
Phil Collins' tour. So
yes.
He played drums for his dad.
He did last year, and oh my God, is he amazing. He plays just like his dad. Obviously, he learned from the best.
Yeah.
Genesis...
He might have been 16.
Yeah, no, he was.
Happened.
He definitely was. Yeah, he's really, really young, but really talented. I'm looking forward to it if he does get to play.
Now, Tori, you're a huge Genesis fan, like diehard Genesis fan, or is it just Peter Gabriel for you?
I'll take what I can get. I really, really would love a Peter Gabriel reunion, but I don't see that in the future. Just because Peter's not really, he's forward thinking. He's not going to go back and do Genesis work, I don't believe.
Interesting analysis. He's forward thinking.
He said that in an interview.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I would love to see Phil play. He plays all the old stuff, too.
Well, we'll see. That's what he said. The caveat to a Genesis reunion is the kids got to come along to play the drums. And looking at the highest paid country stars of the year, there is somebody new on top of the list. According to Forbes, Garth Brooks is no longer the highest paid country star of the year.
That is surprising.
Well, he's always the highest paid country star until this year.
Well, he retired for a decade and a half, so not during that time.
Yeah, 3 consecutive years. It was Garth Brooks, highest paid country star. Only this year, it goes to Luke Bryan.
I wondered if it was going to be Luke. Yeah, I'm a bigger fan of Garth, but I'll take what I can get. Country, I happen to think country's real fun. I've only been to a couple of country concerts, but I have a cowboy hat that I wear and an embroidered shirt. I think it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, this guy did have a big tour, but he also is one of the judges on American Idol. And he has an endorsement deal with Chevrolet. So he earned $52 million, and poor Garth only earned $45.5.
Oh, it seems like somebody's getting cheated. Oh, yeah, us.
Kenny Chesney also on the list, Blake Shelton, and the Zac Brown Band. Dolly Parton made the list, the only woman to make the top 10 highest paid country artists of the year.
What's Dolly been up to lately?
I think she did do some tour dates, but also I think it's her Dollywood, and
yeah.
I think she just always makes money. Some of the biggest names in music will take the stage for our iHeartRadio Music Festival, which happens September 21st and 22nd, and we want to send you to Vegas to see the show. You are listening for a new keyword. You text it to 200-200 for your chance to win a trip for two, and your next chance to do just that, text in and win 810 this morning. Now, I did say that one of Danny's, not contemporaries, how did I put it? Your peers?
Yeah.
Peer, which I took exception to. I have no peers.
Right. Danny is peerless.
But
yeah.
I had said one of Danny's peers.
I one time peered in this girl's window. Does that count?
Well, no, that's what a lot of your peers, I think, have gotten in trouble for over the years.
Screech, for example.
Yeah.
Nope, it's
right,
not
Derek?
Screech. Todd Bridges.
No, he can't be in trouble again.
Todd Bridges, star of Different Strokes, was slapped with a temporary restraining order by an ex-girlfriend who claims the actor threatened her with weapons ranging from a crossbow to a taser.
Oh, that sounds like him, right?
No, it sounds like her to shoot. It sounds like him to shoot her.
Oh.
He got off on these charges, and so I do not know for a fact. I have been told by lots of people, and there's a possibility that Todd Bridges and I got high together once, but talked. But he was accused of shooting a guy 9 times and cutting his throat.
Wow.
Yeah, and the guy lived.
Oh.
And that proves only one thing: Todd Bridges is incompetent.
Well, she said that she met Todd Bridges on a dating site and that he whipped out a taser on their second date and zapped it several times, inches from her face. She decided to go out with him again, stayed over his house one night, and when that happened, he showed off a crossbow and bragged about beating up homeless people who attempted to break into his house. He then pulled out a gun and aimed it at a dog because he thought someone was breaking into his house. He also claims to have shot someone and did not know if that person lived or died. And she has now decided to take out a restraining order against him.
He should take a restraining order against her, and so should the rest of us. Anybody that stays through all of that, I think, is more dangerous than the guy that pulled a gun and didn't shoot. I think she's the provocateur in this, and I think she's nothing but trouble. And I'll tell you, I probably married her at least once.
Todd Bridges, meanwhile, has filed his own temporary restraining order against a different ex-girlfriend.
Oh, that's so fun, because I was going to go, of course, that's what you do, but I don't know about this.
This is a porn star ex-girlfriend named Melissa Hill, and he says that she allegedly sent him 8,000 tweets saying she was going to attack him and poison his pets.
Poison is what?
Pets.
Oh, wow. How many pets does he have?
Yeah, your guess is as good as mine, my
It's a
friend.
lot of poison involved in this girl's threats.
In TV news, Sony Pictures Television Studios are developing a revival of the sitcom Designing Women. The original series creator is a woman named Linda Bloodworth Thompson. She is leading the project. It ran first on CBS. Dixie Carter, Annie Potts, Jean Smart, Delta Burke, Meshack Taylor. That was a pretty progressive show, one nominated for all sorts of awards, and they said the time is ripe to bring it back.
All right. I wasn't that big of a show, that particular show, but individually, I liked that entire cast.
Yeah, I liked that show. I thought it was pretty, like I said, it was progressive. They talked about a lot of stuff, homophobia, racism, stuff that didn't really get talked about at the time.
Yeah.
Are they still
Yo,
with us, that cast? Is Delta Burke still around?
She is
Yes.
not.
Delta Burke died?
Oh, no. Dixie Carter died. I thought Delta Burke did die a couple years ago, but now I'm not entirely sure about that.
Okay, Dixie Carter died. She had, who was her husband? Dixie Carter had a
Her
famous
husband's
husband.
still alive. I can see his mustache, and I cannot think of his name. He's still alive.
Hal
Meshack
Holbrook.
Taylor died. He died years ago.
Am I right with Hal Holbrook? He's married to somebody.
Yes,
Hal
that's,
Holbrook,
that's
yeah.
his name, yeah.
Thank you.
And Delta Burke, fortunately, is still with us, 62 years of age.
Well, no word
way.
on whether
She's
or
only
not
62?
Yeah, or so she says.
She got all beat up for gaining weight and in the papers and stuff, and I never saw her thin. I thought she was beautiful the whole time. She's one of them big, beautiful girls you hear about. But turns out she was like Miss America or Miss Kansas City. She was Miss something. She was a beauty pageant winner. So that's, I guess, why they beat her up. But I never saw it, and I think she's very pretty.
And let's take a look at sports.
Sports.
Sports brought to you by Bradley Johnson Attorneys. If you're facing a DUI, call 1-800-DUI-AWAY. That's 1-800-DUI-AWAY. Yesterday, a very exciting win for the Seattle Mariners. How cute is D. Gordon?
Oh, he's so awesome.
Oh, my God.
Tied up, D. Gordon breaks the tie with a 2-run shot. He's not known for his home runs,
No.
so he gets excited when he gets a home run. His second of the year, and he's like strutting when he gets back into the dugout. He kissed both of his biceps as he crossed the home plate. He's like doing a little dance. He is fun to watch.
So cute. I think he's only hit like 12 in his whole career or
Yeah, I
something.
think that's right.
It did take 12 innings, but the Mariners beat Oakland thanks to D. Gordon because that was the only scoring, a 2-0 win. Now, we have the day off today. A lot of eyes have been on our closer, Edwin Diaz. He has converted all 6 save opportunities on the Mariners road trip and is now one shy of the franchise record that was set by Fernando Rodney back in 2014. So our closers, our save guy is kind of on fire.
Yeah.
We got a big series coming up this weekend. The Dodgers come to town. We are sending Frenchie Wade LeBlanc to the mound, and they have Walter Buehler. First pitch, 7:10, Root Sports.
I just heard during the game yesterday that if Edwin Diaz breaks that record, that Scott Service has said he's going to shave his head or let the team shave his head.
Oh, my gosh.
So 2 more saves, and he gets a haircut.
Oh.
What kind of maniac let somebody shave his head?
Right. Only crazy people.
Tomorrow, the Seattle Storm will play the New York Liberty with tip-off being at 7. And we are now finding out the fate of the Seattle Storm. They will stay in Seattle next season. The WNBA team announced yesterday that it will play its regular season games at the University of Washington's Alaska Airlines Arena. Now, we were wondering what was going to happen because Key Arena is being renovated.
Right, yeah.
Right.
That's where the Storm play. So they're like, where are they going to go? And they said Alaska Airlines Arena, UW, for the entire 2019 season.
How many people does that hold? Does anybody know?
Oh, it's pretty big, but we can look it up. I do not know the answer to that.
Just I wonder because they sell tickets, right?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I mean they have a crowd, they have a following, the people like. I'm just wondering, because the Key Arena is 17,000, 12,000 something. That's not nothing, and I'm just wondering if the UW is bigger.
10,000 seats in the Alaska Airlines Arena at
So
Heck
smaller, all right.
It
But
is smaller.
10,000 still not nothing.
Right, and I don't think they pack out the Storm games. I don't think they're full. The handful of games that I've been to have maybe been at half capacity.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I think they'll have the room.
Danny's favorite quarterback turned baseball players in the news.
Tebow!
I did not know whether I should tell this story in sports or entertainment.
All right.
Tim Tebow and his brother Robbie are making their foray into film with a faith-based movie about a couple of brothers looking to overcome adversity through sports. One is a
No,
track
when you say
star.
a couple of brothers,
Yep.
you mean actually related.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
One is a track star. The other is a football player. And this,
Like a real football player or like a Tim Tebow football
Oh.
player?
How dare you?
this is a movie called Run the Race. It stars Francis Fisher, Mario Van Peebles, and a bunch of people who I'm not familiar with. But Tim Tebow is going to be executive producing alongside of his brother.
Wow. Well, I'll definitely watch it when it comes out, just out of pure curiosity. Plus, if they're well done, I almost always enjoy those faith-based pictures. I think they have a super whammy agenda, obviously, but you put that aside, it's always a good story.
Well, they've really been quietly super successful. I can't remember the name of the one that just came out, like Cabin on the Hill or something, and it starred Octavia Spencer. It brought in millions and millions of dollars in the box office for this tiny little movie that no one saw coming.
Yeah. And Mario Van Peebles, his career really died off or dropped off sharply 25 years ago, yet you see him in the movies all the time. He writes, produces, directs, and stars in his own movies all the time. They're crap, but it's really admirable that he can get that done.
Sports this morning brought to you by Bradley Johnson Attorneys. If you're facing a DUI, call 1-800-DUI-AWAY. That's 1-800-DUI-AWAY. We've got a big show coming up at 7:20, giving you a chance to win tickets to the Boeing Classic happening at Snoqualmie Ridge. And at 7:45, right after the big news of the day, Steve Perry, the singer formerly of Journey, will be joining the show.
A ton coming up on the show. Steve Perry's coming up at sometime this hour, I believe around 7:45, which will be awesome, but even just as good, I'm going to go with, because you get prizes. 7:20 this morning, playing a game called Four. You can win a pair of tickets to the Boeing Classic. All you got to do is play Four. That's happening at Snoqualmie Ridge.
Well, yep, Steve Perry will be joining us on the show at 7:45. We made this announcement yesterday that he is back, his first new music in almost 25 years. Now, when he first announced this, he teased it almost a year ago and said that he's been working on something and he's going to have it out. And I just remember thinking, I will stand in line to buy this.
Yeah.
To use your phrase, Danny, obviously you don't need to stand in line to buy music anymore, but I was so excited for him to make a comeback. I love his voice, and I found his departure so sad.
Yeah, me too.
So the fact that he's ready to make a comeback, I don't know. I think it's just exciting, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of the album.
I'm looking forward because he has a track record of doing such great music, and I'm looking forward to hearing the whole album and going, yep, he's still got it, because that's what I want to say about this guy.
Yeah.
It's just such a lovely voice. I totally want to say, oh, man, he totally still has it.
It doesn't surprise me personally that I'm rooting for Steve Perry, but we were just talking.
Tebow.
And I have found over the years, I am so rooting for him. And I used to really, I don't want to say hate. That's a strong word. I never was a big fan. And all of a sudden, I'm like the hugest Tim Tebow fan. So hard for him to make a comeback.
Yeah, me too. Also that Johnny Manziel guy.
Yeah, Johnny Football.
Oh, I got
I'd like
bad
to
news
make-
for you then, Danny.
What happened?
He's in concussion protocol this morning.
Yeah. Oh, he got rocked. I've actually been watching. I watched a game and a half of Canadian football. I think the most I've ever watched in my entire life. And he got hit pretty hard in the head.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I know
so
you've been
he's
rooting
putting
for
it in.
him.
He's putting in the work, obviously.
Yeah.
He's trying the Canadian football, which just seems weird, and he's getting rocked to the head. He's doing what it takes. I just don't know if he personally has what it takes to make a comeback.
Yeah. I mean, those are some of the people I know that we've been rooting for. But if I ask that question, you're like, who do you think made a great comeback, or who do you root for to make a great comeback? Is Johnny Manziel the first thing that you think of?
No, me.
Yes.
Yeah, you root for yourself to make a comeback?
I know you said, who do you think made a great comeback?
Yeah.
And I got to go me. I
Gotcha.
made, about $5 doing that television show, and that you couldn't live on that money, and I was in big trouble. And then I found radios, and I think I made a great big comeback.
Well, you guys listening, who do you think made a great comeback? Or maybe who do you root for to make a big comeback? Danny votes for himself, but we all
he's
have
right.
been rooting for Tim Tebow. Who is it for you? Who made a great comeback, or who do you root for to make a great comeback? Call us right now, 800-252-1025, or text in 90627 now.
You know, Steven, I'm that comfortable with the guy. I'm calling him Steven. Steve Perry has not made a record in 25 years or so. And now I think he plans on making a big comeback. Who do you think made a great comeback, or who do you root for to make a great comeback? Here are the numbers, 1-800-252-1025, or you can text 90627.
Let's start with Richard in Seattle.
Hey, Richard.
Good morning. Good morning. You guys talked about him yesterday. I'm rooting for Tiger Woods.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's a great one.
And it's funny, I was saying how I never did root for him. Like, I know he's a great golfer and all that, but with all of the controversy that went on and all the information we found out about him, I wasn't rooting for him. And then all of a sudden, I totally am.
I don't entirely know what it is about him, but he just makes golf fun to watch, which is hard to do.
Yes.
And I don't watch much golf, but if I flip it on and they're showing Tiger, I watch. I'll sit there and watch.
One of the reasons I think that he makes golf appear to be fun is I think it might have been before you guys were born. I'm not sure how old Tiger is, but he appeared on the Johnny Carson show when he was maybe 5 years old. And that's what he did, was golf tricks and things like that. And then there was a putting green for him to play my idol, Johnny Carson, and they tried to sink putts from a distance, and 5-year-old Tiger Woods smoked him. And I think maybe some of that fun has stayed with him.
Yeah, he is 42 years old, Tiger.
Yeah, so it might have been right around the time you were getting born, I guess.
Well, you know.
Not if you're 29.
Again.
No, yes, that's specifically why I said it. If you're 29. And you too, Paul, at 35. It's somewhere where you're babies.
Right.
800-252-1025. Who do you root for to make a comeback, or who do you think made a great comeback? Talking about this because Steve Perry from Journey is back, and it's awesome. Let's talk to Drama in Renton.
Hey, Drama.
Hey, good morning. Hey, good morning, guys. Hey, so I was thinking, it was back in the 90s. I was in the Marine Corps, and Pulp Fiction came out, and it was John Travolta, and I think that was his comeback role.
Yeah, he was gone for a while.
Yes and no. He did Saturday Night Fever, which made him the biggest star in the world. And then after a couple of years, just like disco itself, he became laughable and nobody wanted to touch him. Then he did Staying Alive, where he played a Broadway dancer, and he made a huge comeback. And then everybody thought about a year later, hey, did you see John Travolta in a tutu? He looked ridiculous. Then he made like his third comeback on Pulp Fiction. So you're right, but he had made a couple of comebacks before that.
We have several great texts into 90627, most of them, though, talking about Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, great comeback.
Big in the
comeback.
80s, and then all of those problems with the law, drugs, rehab, and then now he comes back and he's like the biggest star out there.
Yeah.
Highest paid actor in America a couple of years running. I think he's got a net worth of $250 million.
And who saw that coming? Because, you know, he was making news for breaking into houses and sleeping on strangers' couches.
Yeah.
Yep, I thought he was done. When he did it was in Malibu. I think the address is like 1011 Pacific Coast Highway, but I could be wrong, so don't go there. But he broke in. Well, he didn't break in. He walked in. I think the door was unlocked. As high as he was, he couldn't pick a lock. But he slept in their kids' room, and that's what flipped everybody out.
Josh from Bothell texted in. He says, definitely Jason Bateman. If somebody would have told me 20 years ago that the guy from Teen Wolf 2 was going to be one of the most popular actors out there, I would not believe it.
He made a great
And he'd
comeback.
have told you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
800-252-1025. We're asking, who do you think made a great comeback, or who do you root for to make a great comeback? Talking about this because Steve Perry has not put out music in 25 years. Journey has continued without him, but he is now back, and it's awesome. We'll be talking to him in just about a half an hour.
Totally awesome. I got one who made the greatest comeback that I ever saw, and that would be, and I've talked about this guy recently, George Foreman. George Foreman, after the Rumble in the Jungle, he became the heavyweight champion. After getting beat up by Muhammad Ali, he came back, became the heavyweight champion of the world, retired because you get to be that age, then came back at either 40 or 44 years old and knocked out Michael Moorer in the 10th round, a real heavyweight champion that was 26. And George Foreman knocked him out in the 10th, possibly the most amazing sports comeback I've ever heard of.
That's awesome, yeah.
Well, a little bit weird, but Justin Timberlake made a comeback because the band was over.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the dudes had nothing going on. Then all of a sudden, Justin Timberlake has his Who's It's in a Box and is selling crazy albums and now could sell out Safeco Field. I mean, everybody loves Justin Timberlake.
Everybody loves Justin Timberlake. I'll stay with you on that one, although to be a comeback, I guess, look me rating how comebacks go. You got to stay in your sport or your media or something like that. But then I'm going to move over to New Kids on the Block. Donnie Wahlberg cannot be stopped.
Yeah,
he's
that's true.
Yeah, he is on fire.
The guy's a juggernaut. He's got a Vegas show with the gang. They make a ton of money. He's either on or created or whatever with the Blue Bloods. He's on every episode, and much like My Days in the Partridge Family, because the show revolved around me, the title of the show would always be Danny Gets a Girlfriend, Danny Goes on a Diet. With that show with Donnie Wahlberg, it's always his name in the title. That whole show revolves around him.
Speaking of Vegas shows, Steph from Seattle texted in, Britney Spears, after she shaved her head, had that meltdown.
Yep.
You assume you're never going to see her again. You don't for a while, and now she's back selling out Vegas shows.
That's a good
You
one.
did assume that, too. That's a good one.
Let's talk to Dave in Puyallup. Who do you think made a great comeback, or who do you root for?
I think Guns N' Roses would be a great one.
They did
Yeah.
make a big comeback.
They did. They've done a great job, and they don't sound a whole lot different than they did when they were doing it. They haven't put any new music out, but
I agree with you, Dave, but I'm going to disagree with you just the tiniest bit, and that is I'm not positive they are what they were. I think they're great, but I don't think they're what they are. And I think to make the great comeback I'm thinking of you in some way have to be better than what you were. And I don't know that they are.
Well, how about this then? Not just Guns N' Roses, but specifically Axl Rose to make that comeback where he's leading the old lineup of the band and also leading AC/DC.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody saw
take
that. Yeah.
Yep, I'll take that.
Paul, what's your opinion? Who do you think made a great comeback, or who do you root for?
Neil Patrick Harris. So he has his first
Yay.
run of success as a Doogie Howser
Yep.
as a kid, and then nobody sees him for a long time, and now he's back and doing everything. You can't not see that guy.
And weirder than that, doing everything well.
Yeah, really
You know,
well.
I think Doogie Howser's going to sing and dance actually on Broadway. That's crazy. You shouldn't embarrass a guy like that. And he goes on, and if you didn't recognize him, you'd never know that he wasn't the born and bred Broadway entertainer.
Totally.
He was just great.
Yep. What about Dave in Federal Way? Good morning to you, Dave.
What up, Dave?
Dave from Guam, guys. Good morning.
What up?
Morning.
Hey, Jean-Claude Van Damme, his meltdown when he was telling those people the girls he was gonna do them and stuff, and then now he's doing his own shows and potato chip commercials.
Okay, I think the potato chips, whatever kind of chips they are, I think that's genius. When Jean-Claude Van Damme says, "These are my cheeps," you got to crack up. I think Hoppa Dave once again hits it on the head. All right, I got one. I don't know. This is who I root for to come back. I just do because he seems sweet. Do you guys know Jonathan Taylor Thomas
Yeah, from Home Improvement.
from Home Improvement, the voice of Simba?
That's
Did
right.
you know
Yeah,
that?
Lion King.
In
Yeah.
The Lion King, where this guy went to Harvard or something. I think he's really cute. I think he's got the talent. I would like to see a Jonathan Taylor Thomas comeback.
He was pretty handsome.
Yeah.
Thanks for all your
Oh
calls.
no, he wasn't. He was 9 years old.
He was a
Sarah.
child.
No, now he is.
Oh, okay.
Jeez
Yeah,
Louise.
sure. That's what you said. Yeah.
Plus, I was a kid when I watched that show. I was allowed to have a crush on another kid.
Oh, okay.
Right. You were -4, I think.
Exactly. It's now time to play the game that's sweeping the nation.
Or puberty strikes her again.
It's your chance to win a pair of tickets to the Boeing Classic, August 20th through the 26th at Snoqualmie Ridge. You can watch 78 PGA Tour champion players battle for a $2.1 million purse. If you want to win the tickets, well, you need to start calling right now to play. 800-252-1025. KZOK, we are playing the game for your chance to win a pair of tickets to the Boeing Classic at Snoqualmie Ridge. One of the 4 names that Danny will give you is a current PGA Tour Champions player. The rest are characters from a golf movie. In order to win, you'll have to tell us which of the 4 is the real deal. Eric in Issaquah, good morning.
good morning.
Morning there, Eric. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Oh, I sure do.
All right. Do you understand the rules of the game?
I do.
Then here we go. One of these 4 will play the Boeing Classic at Snoqualmie Ridge. The rest are Cheech Marin, Don Johnson, and American treasure Kevin Costner. Number 1, Esteban Toledo. Number 2, Romeo Posar. Number 3, David Sims. Or number 4, Roy McAvoy. Which of these 4 is a current PGA Tour Champions player?
Oh, I believe that would be D, Mr. Roy McAvoy.
Oh, unfortunately, Roy McAvoy is American treasure Kevin Costner in the film Tin Cup. That's Roy Tin Cup McAvoy.
Thank you for that. Yeah, what Paul said. It is, in fact, Kevin Costner from Tin Cup. Just a fantastic golf movie, if you ask me. But I'm sorry, sir, that is incorrect.
Brian in Kirkland, do you know the answer, or would you like Danny to read the clue again?
One more time. I have a tough time with Danny's linguistics.
All right. Here we go. That's what I had for dinner last night, linguistics with clams. All right, here we go, sir. One of these four will play the Boeing Classic at Snoqualmie Ridge. The rest are Cheech Marin, Don Johnson, and American treasure Kevin Costner. At number 1, Esteban Toledo. Number 2, Romeo Pozar. Number 3, David Sims. Or number 4, Roy McAvoy. Which one of these four is the current PGA Tour champion player?
Brian, honey, are you there?
Oh, did we lose?
Did we lose Brian?
Brian gave up. He forfeits, I think.
Either that or he is furiously Googling. Well, we know it's now down to 3 people. Let's try Sean in Bremerton.
Hey, Sean.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going great. Do you know the answer? You want me to read it to you again?
I'm going to guess Romeo.
You're going to guess Romeo is the current PGA player, right?
That is incorrect.
And that is incorrect, my friend.
Oh, man. All right,
I'm
Nancy.
totally sorry.
Nancy and
Nancy,
Marion, you must
come
know the
on,
answer.
Nancy.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, we're very well, thank you. Do you know the answer, or do you need me to read it again?
I believe it's Sims.
Oh,
I believe
no.
it is David Sims.
That is incorrect.
Yes, that is incorrect.
That's David. That's Don Johnson.
All right, so Dennis and Buckley, they've kind of narrowed it down for you.
Okay.
David?
Yeah, I'm here.
You want me to read it again?
Yes, please.
Sure. One of these four will play the Boeing Classic at Snoqualmie Ridge. The rest are Cheech Marin, Don Johnson, American treasure Kevin Costner. Would it be number 1, Esteban Toledo, number 2, Romeo Pozar, number 3, David Sims, or number 4, Roy McAvoy? Which one of these four is a current PGA Tour Champions player?
That'd be A.
I love our listeners. We'll accept that.
That is absolutely correct, sir.
Esteban Toledo. The rest are characters from Tin Cup. So, Dennis and Buckley, you've won a pair of tickets to the 13th annual Boeing Classic Pro Golf Tournament, returning to the club at Snoqualmie Ridge. Tickets are on sale now at BoeingClassic.com. Dennis is going to the Jeep Winners window in our lobby to pick up his tickets. You guys can join us again tomorrow at 7:20 for another round. The big news.
I hope it goes just as well.
All righty, the big news of the day is brought to you by our friends at Goldberg Jones Divorce for Men. Call 1-800-DIVORCE or go online to goldbergjones.com.
Moments ago, we found out the passing of Aretha Franklin. Her family put out a statement that said it is with deep and profound sadness that we announce the passing of Aretha Louise Franklin, the Queen of Soul. She passed away this morning at her home in Detroit, surrounded by family and loved ones.
Yeah, she was amazing.
Well, we knew she had been sick. She had battled cancer off and on for years. Earlier in the week, we were told that she was gravely ill, surrounded by family and friends. Stevie Wonder went to visit her last night. And as I said this morning, just under an hour ago, Aretha Franklin has passed.
Yeah, that is a very strange, because, if you think about it, and I didn't think about it at the time, I'm talking about headlines now. I mean, she was an inspiration to all sorts of people, but with songs Respect and Think, I never thought about that, how hard this woman was pushing an agenda of personal betterment for you and me. So I always loved her. I had the chance to interview her over the years I worked in Detroit. So she will be all sorts of missed.
Just 76 years old.
Yeah, man, it's not that she didn't live right. I don't know what she did or didn't do, but her weight fluctuated, and that's worse than being large, having your weight going up and down. She was a diabetic. She had some issues, so she probably wasn't expecting 85.
Right. Pancreatic cancer, cause of death, by the way. Here in Seattle, a lot of people have been lamenting the unhealthy air, the smoky conditions, the really, really terrible air quality. And according to the Environmental Protection Agency, this week, Seattle's air worse than Beijing.
I knew you were going to say, I'm sitting here thinking, what terrible city are we going to get compared to? I didn't expect it to go that far. That's terrible.
It is absolutely terrible. It is in the unhealthy category. Here, it's mainly being caused by wildfires. We've got a lot of acres burning here in Seattle, but also, in Washington, but it's the ones up in British Columbia that then the air quality pushes down here. Here's the good news, my friends.
Yeah.
We're getting a shift today. Cooler weather and the air quality will improve as the cooler temperatures roll in.
Yeah, we're currently like that Johnny Cash song, Ring of Fire. There's fires in Oregon. There's fires in the Cascades. There's fires in BC. There's fires out by Yakima. My goodness. It's just a terrible time. And you can see the air that you breathe, which is really weird.
Venezuelan authorities have arrested a military general and colonel and a dozen others in connection to that failed assassination attempt on the president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro.
That's the one with the drones, right?
Yes. They have arrested Major General Alejandro Perez, a colonel named Pedro Zambrano, and they were identified as those who orchestrated this assassination attempt.
I didn't believe it then. I thought it was fake then. And just because arrests have been made, that is such a corrupt government.
Yeah.
If you remember the line in Casablanca, go round up the usual suspects. I don't know anything about what the hell's going on in Venezuela, except that guy's a crook. So I don't necessarily believe it because of this, but I'm a step closer.
Well, in Georgia, investigators are trying to find the perpetrators of a huge heist.
What'd they steal? Diamonds? Rubies?
Ramen.
Ramen?
Ramen.
Ramen?
$100,000 worth of ramen was stolen from a parked semi-trailer.
$100,000 worth of ramen?
Yes.
Real quick, close your eyes for 1 second. See if you can identify the sound. Do you know what that is?
Sounds like pills.
Sounds like pills. Prescription bottle.
Perfect. Fits in here perfectly. It's my ramen that I brought to work this morning.
Yeah.
I haven't put the hot water in it yet.
Wait. So did you perpetrate this crime?
I did not, but I would. I love ramen.
But what's $100,000 worth of ramen? That's got to be like 5 million ramen.
It's got to be a lot of packets. They're probably going to start looking at some college campuses to see if they can find the poor college kid who stole the ramen.
Right, sure.
You can't fit a semi-truck full of ramen into your dorm room?
Yeah, I was going to say you can't put $5 million worth of ramen in your backpack, but it's all the same thing. We find this hard. And are you saying $5 million?
No, $100,000.
$100,000.
Oh, I don't know where I got $5 million. Yeah, they could do $100,000.
Because I thought 5 million packets of ramen is what you'd have to steal to get $100,000 worth of ramen.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There's a nice story in the news, which is maybe a bit of a relief because we've had so much sadness. We know that the fires in California have been absolutely devastating. That car fire was terrible. A lot of families were evacuated, and one family, they told their kids, I'm sorry, but the pet fish is probably not still going to be there when we get back. They weren't able to take it with them due to the quick evacuation. Well, when they got back, the fish was totally fine, and there was a note that read, the fire department stopped in and fed your fish.
Oh, wow.
But stopped in what? So their house wasn't burned to the ground?
Their house was not burnt to the ground, but they had to evacuate.
So they just betrayed their pet for no reason.
They had to evacuate, but does the fire department break into people's houses to see if they've evacuated?
They go door to door and make sure people had, and when they went in that home, they saw the fish, were like, oh, we better feed little Frank. Don't know why that's his name.
Sure. Maybe they're going to feed him Little Frank, which is kind of weird. I don't think technically in an area of fire and danger, the fire department is capable of breaking in. I think they have an open entrance and invitation during fire.
That's the big news of the day, which is brought to you by Goldberg Jones. Divorce for Men, 1-800-DIVORCE, or online at Goldberg Jones. Do not go anywhere because Steve Perry, the man, the myth, the legend, formerly of Journey, will be...
All right, I believe that is Steve Perry's first new single, No Erasing, in 25 years. It's off his album Traces, and I will tell you where to get it and where you can listen to it and how much you can enjoy it, just like we just did. But ladies and gentlemen, on our Celebrity Hotline, Steve Perry.
Heard it for the first time on your station.
Awesome.
Is that true? Wow,
Yeah,
that is
I've been
that is
listening to the song
fantastic.
forever, but I never get a chance to hear it come through a station through your limiters and everything. I was just grooving. It was sounding great.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, you know that answers kind of my second question, but I'll ask. It's a statement now. During the 25 years that you took off, because you're just a spectacular voice, and I don't mean that just as a compliment, but I mean you're the Steve Perry voice. Was there a lot of the reason why don't you hear from Steve Perry anymore? And the answer would be to some people, oh, he must not have it. He blew out his throat. He can't sing. Did you hear a lot of that?
Yeah, I did hear a lot of that, but the truth is that I was just crispy. I was just burnt out. I was in the band for years, and we worked really hard, and I was really concerned because my passion for music was going away. My love for singing was going away, and I was not going to stand up there and just go through the motion. And, you know, back in those days, there was some occasional extra bad behaviors that sometimes would come into play, I might say.
Yeah, you might say that.
Those aren't going to replace my love for music, so at some point, I just had to tell the guys, I got to stop. It was the hardest thing I ever did because I figured the band members are going to be, you know, pissed enough.
And were they?
Yeah, they were. But the fans is where my heart was. I was concerned they're going to really be upset. But I had to stop.
And now you're
I'm
back.
Yeah,
I'm going to try and pay you a compliment that you haven't been paid before, because I'm assuming you've met people that named their kid Sherry and things like that. Maybe a Steve Perry tattoo on somebody. That's kind of like when you've been around a long time and done songs that are so important to so many people, you get that. So I'm going to try and give you a compliment that maybe you haven't been given. I swear to God, this is true.
Okay.
I played you singing faithfully at all 3 of my weddings, and it never lost any significance.
Wait a minute. So you played faithfully all 3 of your weddings. Does that mean that I'm supposed to pay for the alimony now? Is that what's happening?
I don't know what you saved, but it will make a dent. So let's take a moment to thank your mother. I was reading about you before you came on the show, because you can't just rely on being such a big fan of yours as to know things. So I was reading up on you, and you had gone out with a lot of different bands, trying out. You're a young man. You're getting in the bands because they're not stupid and they hire you, but you're not getting the record deal. In your mind, you quit. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not going out. And then I believe it's Journey that calls, and your mom says, pick up the phone, Steve.
Yeah, it was exactly like that. What happened was I was in a band called the Alien Project, but we also called the band Street Talk because there was a lot of talk on the street that this band was pretty cool. So that's why when I did make a solo album years later, I paid homage to that. But back to that story, the bass player in the band Street Talk died in a car wreck just before we were about to get signed to Columbia Records. And Don Ellis called me and said, I'm so sorry to hear about that, but let me tell you, I've got this band called Journey, and they're looking for a singer. Are you interested? And I said, well, yeah. Wow. So they're going to make a musical change. I said, well, they're more of a prog rock situation. Are you sure? Because, you know, I like writing songs. No, they want to write songs. So that's what happened. We got together, started writing, and the next thing I knew, I was in the band.
Yeah, it worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
I was going to give up, and my mom said to me, no, don't do that. I was headed back home. I said, it was a big hit when Richard died. Richard Haddad was his name, from Detroit. It was a big hit to me that, you know, I'm not supposed to be doing this. I thought to myself, this wouldn't be happening. I got to stop. And she said, no, don't give up. Something will happen. And the next day I get the call from the manager of Journey.
That's pretty amazing.
Wow, that is a great story. And I love that it's true, because I read it and I went, do you think it's true? I was talking to my wife. I said, do you think it's true? Do you think his mom... Now, does your mom lord that over you all the time? You'd be nothing without me?
No, but she loved my dad. My dad was a singer, and though they ended up getting a divorce and never reuniting ever again, she knew that I had something in me that my dad had given me. My dad had a beautiful voice, and she knew I had a pretty nice voice, and she wanted me to pursue it.
Well, it's an amazing. And now, okay, let's jump up to the current record. Well, the record itself is called Traces. The single that we just heard, No Erasing. Now, is that spelled that way just because that's the way you sing it, or is it supposed to mean more than just no erasing?
I always write the way I sing. Wow. And that's how it sounds to me. That's how I sing it. And so I write it the way it sounds. I've done that with Journey. I've done that everywhere.
Did
We're
you
talking
feel,
with Steve
Go
Perry
ahead.
of Journey, and he does have this new album coming out. You can listen to the new song No Erasing and watch the video at steveperry.com. I know a lot of people, Steve, are probably wondering, they're excited that you're back in any capacity, but people probably wondering, how is your relationship with Neil Schon and the rest of the band Journey?
Well, it's like any relationship. I mean, Sarah, let me ask you a question. Are you in a relationship right now?
I am.
You are. How long have you been in that relationship?
10 years.
10 years. Were you in a relationship before that?
Yes.
And are you in touch with that person?
No.
Why? What happened?
Fighting.
Wow.
Well, but you're happy where. My point is that you're pretty happy where you are right now.
I get where you're going, and it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that you wish anybody any ill wind in any way.
Yeah.
You just kind of move on, don't you?
That's a good point.
And by the way, they've moved on too. We all have lived separate lives, and so in some way we've gone our separate ways, and we're living separate lives, and there's nothing wrong with it. I don't think there's any right or wrong about this. I think that everybody's doing what they feel is best for them, and so am I.
And is that what you're kind of talking about, kind of a double meaning with no erasing? Is it, I don't want to erase the past. I still want to celebrate that and embrace that, but now I'm moving on to the future?
I think that there are several layers of that type of thing in that song. Originally, it was written about going to a class reunion, running into somebody you knew in high school, and you used to be an item, and you remember back in the day when you used to get in the car and go park in this one area. So guess what? You get in the car, you leave the class reunion, you go sit in the back seat of her car in that location where you used to smooch, and you have a couple of smooches in the back seat of her car just for old times. Nothing else happens because you both have lives that have moved on, just like Sarah's. But you know what? You're living different lives now, but you're respective of the fact at some point that you did have something together. So it's about rekindling the possibility of the no erasing thing. You're just going to own that emotion, even if you're not together. You can still own the emotion and not get back together. So that's one sort of dimension, and it's also about the relationship with the fans.
Yeah, which seems like that's very important to you, which I think there's not enough of. I think people forget when they get anywhere near your status, and that's rare right there. Were there 20 guys in the music business currently as big as Steve Perry? But I think sometimes big stars forget you kind of work for the fans. It sounds like you kept that in mind.
Well, it's their appreciation, it's their voting emotionally into their hearts. They vote you into their hearts. You just don't write music and boom, you're in. They decide whether they're going to be involved in your music or not, or whether your music has the opportunity to be in their hearts or not. That's not my decision. If people embrace it, it's their decision. And so you've got to be respectful of the fact that they've made that decision, and that's a powerful thing, I think.
Let me go jump just the tiniest bit backwards. When you and Journey went separate ways, and it sounds like it was amicable. I mean, if I were in the band, I'd have been mad at you, but nothing. It's not the end of the world. Did you expect, and not because they're nothing without you, I'll tell you, I thought Journey would be no more. You don't have Steve Perry, you don't have Journey. Neil started a new band for sure, but that band's going to go away, and it didn't. Did that surprise you?
No, I knew these guys would move on. They've had some great singers. They like to keep working. I was ready to stop. And so what am I going to do? Of course, go move, go do it. They've had 3 singers since we split.
Honestly, I didn't know that. I only know the Arnel Panetta guy, who sings great.
By the way, Arnel's been there at least for, I think, 10 years.
Wow.
And
Does
I
that
got to
bother
meet him at
you?
the Hall of Fame backstage. He's such a great kid. I gave him a shout-out from the stage because he sings his heart out every night for those guys.
You know what bothers me about this, and I don't mean any offense because I think he's fantastic, but I think he sings your heart out every night. I think it's an impression.
I disagree, Danny. I mean, he has made those songs his. He reaches into his heart, and he puts his heart into those lyrics. Perhaps maybe he, at some point, was trying to emulate me, and that's how he accessed some of his feelings about those songs. There's nothing wrong with that, but I do think that he is pouring his own heart into those songs, and that's why at the Hall of Fame I gave him a shout out.
Yeah, you did.
And I would like to thank him for pouring his heart out on stage every night.
Wow. Hey, there's a very good chance we're talking to Steve Perry, who turns out to be the sweetest man in the whole wide world. Who was Do you remember your old relationship, Sarah? Please be nice to that guy. No, now I'm going to adopt him. Jeez, Steve. What a sweetie pie. All right.
We've got to wrap up with Steve Perry, but we want to remind you guys that this album, the full album, will be released on October 5th on Fantasy Records. It's available for pre-order on CD, digital download, and vinyl at steveperry.com. You can listen to and watch the awesome video for No Erasing at steveperry.com. Steve Perry, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You're the greatest.
That was beautiful, Sarah. I owe you money for such a gorgeous little intro. Right
I love Steve Perry.
Really beautiful.
Steve Perry, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. The new record, the new single is Erasing. The new album is Trace of Steve Perry in the Izzy. Some of the very biggest names in music. We just talked to one of those people, by the way, but we're talking about the biggest names in music that are going to be at our music festival. It's the iHeartRadio Music Festival, and everybody and their brother is going to be there September 21st and 22nd. Just listen for the keyword and then text it to 200-200 for your shot at winning a trip for two and a nice trip for two and tickets to this big festival. Your next chance is going to come up in just about, less than 10 minutes.
There's a new study out that shows people snoop on their significant others' phones in pretty large numbers. 1 in 4 women, 1 in 5 men admit to snooping on their significant other's phone.
That's how many admit, so at least twice as many people do it.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
I'm shocked that more men than women.
1 in 4 women, 1 in 5 men.
Snoop.
Yeah, so
Right. So I'm surprised more men than women.
Well, I'm surprised it's not equal, and I'm surprised it's not a higher number.
So am I, but as Paul said, maybe people are lying. I snoop on strangers. I love to snoop. Snooping's fun. I have never been inside anyone's house that I haven't looked through their medicine chest.
Oh, gosh.
But what about your significant other? I mean, it seems like such a violation, but you're nosy.
Well, I'll give you my current significant other. As I was telling Mr. Perry, I might have been married a couple times before. Amy, who I love and adore and could not treat me better. When we first got together, she's a 24-year-old girl. She just had some other boyfriend and had a boyfriend before that guy in college, and that's cool. That's her right. But there was something kind of bugging me because I wanted, being a jealous fool, break all contact with all of these guys. And she said, of course I did. Of course I have. You're the sweet. I love you. I think we're saying I love you, but I know I was. That's what I do. And then one day I just said to myself, if I were a 24-year-old girl and I didn't want my boyfriend to find something, where would I put it? And I walked right to my closet. It's so weird. I walked right to it. I walked in the guest room, put my hand under a bunch of towels up in the closet, and sure enough, there was her phone book and schedule book, and all those boys' names were in it. I went out of my mind.
Well, I guess you shouldn't have been snooping.
That's what she said.
You guys listening out there, have you ever found something you shouldn't have while snooping? You know, there is a negative side to the snooping, whether it's a phone or the linen closet. What have you found that you shouldn't have while snooping? Call 800-252-1025 or text your answer in to 90627.
So Sarah pointed out that 1 in 4 women and 1 in 5 men, which astonishes me, admit to snooping on their significant others. I know I have, and I would again. Have you ever found something you shouldn't while snooping? 1-800-252-1025, or please feel free to text to 90627.
We'll start with Mick in Marysville.
Hey, Mick. Mick, you with me?
Yes. Good morning.
Morning.
Hello? Hi. Hey, I had a box of paperwork that my brother-in-law gave my husband that his mom had been holding on to for years. It was bills, cards, letters, pictures, all of that good stuff. And I went through it and found all these letters that these old girls had written to him. But in that box, I found a letter that I wrote to him back in 1990, and we have only been married for 1 year.
I'm not sure I'm
And
following.
I am. Here, let me try and tell you what I feel I get out of this. And tell me if I'm right, Mary. So, Mary looks around, finds a box of letters from old girlfriends from high school, from college. Who cares? Maybe she doesn't like some of them. Then she found her own letter stuffed in a box with those same girls. Is that about right?
That's absolutely right.
Yeah. No, you're right, too, by the way. I would go out of my mind. If I wrote a letter to some girl and she put it back in pictures, and innocent, if she put it back in pictures of her prom date and nothing happened, I'd say, too bad. Don't put my picture in there with those guys.
Is
I
it
like
supposed
you,
to
Mary.
be separated? Her name is Mick. Are they supposed to be separated? It's just memories,
Sorry?
Danny.
No, yes, it's not. Okay, until recently. You ready? And if you want to hate me, okay, but I've changed a lot. It's not supposed to be separated. They're supposed to be burned.
Yes.
Never seen again.
Every old letter, every old picture should be thrown out or burned. You're totally right,
Yeah.
Danny.
Thank you.
Have you ever found something you shouldn't while snooping? That's a question we're asking at 800-252-1025. Danny in Bremerton, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me on. It's so nice to talk to you guys.
Nice
Cool.
to talk to you.
Thank you. So when I was younger, I was snooping through my parents' bedroom because I was trying to find something. I right now I don't remember what it was, but I'm searching through all their dressers and their drawers, and I come across a play toy that both
Of course you
my
did.
parents had. Yeah. And
You mean
it
a
was-
marital
it was
toy?
Huge.
It was-
It was probably a double toy, and it was
Yeah.
probably about 10 or 11.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never want to find something like that of your parents, ever.
Definitely not.
I don't know. I would gross out depending on what year it was. I mean, my mom's 94. If I found one at her house now, well, no, I'd go rock on, lady. But you do not want to find your parents' sex toys.
Have you ever found something you shouldn't while snooping? That's the question at 800-252-1025. Hello, James in Bothell.
Good morning, everybody.
Hey,
Well,
James.
again, I'm 11 or 12 years old. I was snooping around. It was Christmas time, and I was looking for the Christmas presents, and I stumbled across my dad's Playboy collection.
Ooh.
Had
Win-win.
fun with Barbie Benton.
I loved Barbie. Hefner's first real girlfriend.
Yes, they were
Yeah.
married.
Yeah, that's right.
And so
Oh,
were
that's
you
it.
happy about this find, James?
Pardon?
Were you happy about this find?
You betcha.
Yeah. James is still a little bit chafed.
Well, it might have been different if he found Playgirl. It might not have had the same effect of finding his dad's Playgirl collection. You never know.
Oh, I think it would have had a more drastic effect. He's, what is he, 7 or 11 or something like that in the story, and now he's picking up Playgirl at his dad's house? Sarah, what are you trying to do? Steve Perry thought you were so nice.
I am. Steve Perry's a good
Yeah.
judge of character.
Several people on the text line at 90627 finding adult magazines and adult videos. One person texted in, they put in the VHS, their wife cheating on them with the bass player in their band.
Oh.
And videotaping it and then putting it back in the Terminator box.
Well, somebody's an idiot.
Yeah, I think so.
I thought it was a regular porn, something like some guy named Termin, and the thing was called Terminator.
No.
My best girlfriend snooping in her live-in boyfriend's sock drawer found her engagement ring, and it ruined the surprise.
Oh, that's a bummer.
It was a serious bummer.
Was it a diamond set in gold?
Yeah.
Huh, I think she'll be okay. Let's see, because there's so much. And Amy and I were kind of not living together. No, we couldn't have been living together because I was still living in my current wife's, soon to be my ex-wife's basement, where she had a 2,000 square foot apartment. I wasn't roughing it. That's why I wasn't going to move out. And every day when I heard her go to the store, whatever it did, I would go up and raid her computer because she didn't know. She was no brighter than me about computers. She didn't know how to change a password. And she had told me, oh, it's going to be an amicable divorce. We don't need a lawyer. I'm barely even talking to a lawyer to just guide me through it. And I hacked her email. And she had 100 pages of emails back and forth with a lawyer, ranging from, all right, when do you think I'll be divorced, to let's take everything he's got. It
wow.
actually said that.
Yikes.
I was mad.
I can imagine.
Doug in University Place, have you found something you shouldn't while snooping?
I was going through my closet, and my girlfriend, which she never worked, and looking through some boxes, well, I found $17,300.
Whoa.
Oh.
of cash. And what was going on was she was rat-holing money from my account.
Oh,
and
no.
was going to leave me.
That was
Yeah, I hate her. I hate her.
terrible.
I took the money out of there and I put a note on there that said, "Nice try," and then I bounced her out.
Right on, Doug. The same thing happened in my last divorce, except she won, Doug. And that was I had bought 10 gold coins at $400 each, and they were going up and through the roof. And when she filed for divorce, I went to go get my gold coins where they were hidden under the bed. Apparently, Bonaduces are terrible hiders, but she had taken half of those coins and paid her lawyer with it or something. So I feel your pain, Doug.
Gina in Seattle, did you find something you shouldn't have while snooping?
Well, when I was 16 years old, I got a job in an attorney's office as a file clerk, and I was just filing stuff, and I noticed my new stepmother's name in a file. My dad had just gotten married to somebody. So I opened up her file to see what it said. It was her divorce stuff. And in the divorce, it talked about her kids, and it said the oldest kid, blank, and she's adopted, but don't mention. And I'm like, oh, my God, because she's like 21 years old. I thought, oh, my God, she's adopted, and nobody knows. So I went to my dad. I said, did you know that my new stepsister is adopted? And my dad just came unglued, and his wife came unglued, and they eventually had to tell her the truth that she was actually adopted. But I kind of felt bad that I started that whole thing because it was a big problem.
Oh, you blew up the family.
How'd the kid take it, the 21-year-old?
She was not happy because she was like 6'4". She was a really tall, big girl, and she didn't look like anybody. And she always felt like the outsider, and she never knew why.
Aww.
And I don't know. I kind of felt bad for her.
I'll tell you, I'm a bigger snooper than most normal people, I would imagine, because I'm not kidding about going through your medicine chest. Don't invite me over then, or don't let me use your bathroom, whatever it is. But I'll tell you, I always had, my brothers kidded me that I was adopted. My whole family looks Italian. You can look at them and go, oh, you're Italians. And then me with the red hair and freckles, I don't look like them. I don't sound like them. I don't behave like them. So I just assumed I was adopted all my life. I looked into it. I didn't find anything. But if somebody walked in the studio right now and said, hey, we got the papers, Bonaduce, turns out you're adopted, I would go, I knew it, and then go back to work. It just wouldn't break my heart like it does some people.
Paul, have you ever found something you shouldn't have while snooping?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I was looking through some of my mom's old papers and pictures and stuff, and I found her annulment certificate from her first marriage that she had annulled and didn't tell anyone about, including her own parents.
Whoa.
My grandparents didn't know about it. Nobody knew that she had been married.
What about your dad?
No, my dad did not know about it either. Nobody knew about it.
Holy moly.
Wow.
She said she was married for 1.5 days
Sure.
and had it annulled.
Oh.
Now, it's not easy to get an annulment. You have to prove certain things.
Yeah,
what were her grounds,
I don't know, and I don't know if it was easier back then, and I don't know if it was easier in the state of Nevada, which is where the certificate was. Yeah. So maybe for those quickie marriages with somebody you just met are easier to undo the next couple of days in Vegas.
If you can prove you didn't consummate it, we're no longer talking about your mom, because nobody wants to talk about your mom having sex.
Appreciate that.
Some other lady that isn't your mom wants to get an annulment from some guy that isn't your dad. If she can prove, at least this was the good old days, if they never did it, then the eyes of the church will say you're not married, and then the government will say you are not married, and that's the fastest annulment. And then the other stuff it's really tricky, I think.
Thanks for all your calls and texts. The news is next. Two women were injured last night in a drive-by shooting in Seattle's Central District. Police and emergency crews responded to reports of shots fired on 22nd Avenue and East Pine just about 5 p.m. One of the victims told police she was driving when she pulled over to let another car driving the opposite direction pass. She says as that vehicle passed, the driver fired several shots at the victim's car, hitting the two young women inside. The victim's vehicle then struck a parked car as the driver fled the scene. The two women were taken to Harborview, treated for non-life-threatening injuries. This investigation is ongoing, and anyone with information is asked to call the Seattle Police Department. A man is behind bars after a series of 22 dumpster fires that were set in Redmond and Bellevue. Police say 12 dumpsters were lit on fire in Bellevue. An additional 10 to 12 were set afire in Redmond. Then the reports started coming in, and the crews would respond and extinguish them. That's when police started to canvass looking for more fires, and they finally did find one thanks to the help of a helicopter. He was questioned, booked for criminal trespass and second-degree arson. No, they don't know a motive.
Didn't we just have some guy did like 16 or 18 dumpster fires, and nobody cared that much. He was a nuisance, but then one was up against a building and something caught fire. I mean, is this like is this spreading?
It was a while back, but there was a series of those locally here where somebody was lighting dumpsters on fire.
This man is a 56-year-old homeless man, and thankfully no structures in this case other than the dumpsters were damaged and no injuries.
Thank God he didn't burn his tent.
Washington State has one of the lowest rates of impaired driving deaths in the country, according to a new report based on data from the National Highway Safety Administration. The report says Washington ranks among the 10 states with the fewest fatalities due to drunken or drugged driving.
Well, congratulations to somebody. We have terrible traffic. Population grows in this area every single day. You know, I think not killing each other while drunk is not that necessarily something to applaud, but, you know, it's a nationwide epidemic, and we're at the bottom of this particular food chain. I think a little pat on the back is in order.
Yeah. They say that part of this was state police and local police cracking down on drunk and drugged driving. Perhaps people are embracing Uber more because the state with the highest rate of impaired driving deaths is Montana. Probably a lot harder to catch an Uber.
And they have drive-through liquor stores.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's contributing partially to it.
Difficult to hit a guy. Kind of have to go out of your way to crash into a guy in Montana. The next nearest vehicle is 4 miles away.
Yeah. South Carolina had a high number. The state with the lowest rate of impaired driving deaths is New York. And
wow. Again, I would not have guessed that.
I think with traffic, I mean, maybe you just never can get up to speed to have a bad accident.
Yeah, Manhattan's a city, not a state. You're absolutely right, because you can't go anywhere, man. But, New York is a normal-sized state. That's kind of amazing to me.
Health officials across the country are monitoring the spread of measles across 21 states, including Washington. The CDC said there have been 107 cases reported this year, and the majority of people were not vaccinated. Measles.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you. Is this parents not vaccinating their kids?
It could be parents not vaccinating, and it could also be people who did not receive them as a kid and then migrated to this country. Unfortunately, that's something that does happen that you can see in some of the
Wasn't there a
detention
guy with
centers.
measles on a plane, stalled some politician?
We don't know if it was measles. We don't know.
Yeah, it's measles now. We're talking about measles. It must be measles.
You'd think if it was measles, they would have quarantined everybody on the plane, right?
Yep. Measles is an airborne virus. It spreads through coughing and sneezing. Symptoms typically show up 10 to 14 days after exposure.
I think everything that happens on a plane is an airborne illness.
Yeah, I get.
The CDC says that measles are still common in many parts of the world, including parts of Europe, Asia, the Pacific, and Africa. So oftentimes travelers with measles can bring it into the USA.
I blame it on Jenny McCarthy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I blame everything on that lady.
Yesterday, a man swimming off of Cape Cod, Massachusetts, was attacked by a shark and it had to be airlifted to a hospital. This is the first shark attack on a human at this popular summer tourist destination since 2012. The man was 61 years old, suffered puncture wounds to his torso and legs, according to Gary Sharpless, the harbor master in Truro.
It doesn't seem long enough away to brag. We haven't had a shark attack here in, I don't know, a couple of years. Should it be like 100 years? You're supposed to be easily struck by lightning while a plane falls out of the sky and Sputnik hits you in the head before you're going to get a shark bite. Now, it's like every couple of years, these guys are biting something.
There has been a lot more shark sightings.
What'd you just call, Danny? It's really getting mean now.
There have been more shark attacks.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate that.
And they've seen more sharks because there are a lot of seals. So if there are a lot of seals, nobody's killing the seals. And then the sharks go to eat the seals. And then sometimes the sharks think a human is a seal and goes nom, 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 nom.
That's why I've got an electric green wetsuit. Who the hell dresses up in black wetsuits? You look exactly, you put some, whiskers on the front of my wetsuit, and I'm definitely a seal.
There was a while where people in SoCal were wearing this device that would emit some sort of sound, like at a frequency that humans can't hear, and it was supposed to repel sharks.
Yeah.
Only all it was doing was sending them to the person next to them. So if you didn't
that's
have
okay.
the device...
Yeah, that's fine.
It protected you.
That guy didn't wear a suit. He's an idiot. He should be food.
Apparently, it would agitate them, but it wouldn't attack the person wearing it, but it would be agitated and then just attack other people.
It's like they say
Well,
in a bear attack, you don't have to be faster than the bear, you just have to be faster than the guy next to you.
I was just going to ask you how that joke goes. Thank God we have it now.
Sorry, Ketchup. Looks like your reign is over. According to a new study, the best-selling condiment in America is now mayonnaise.
Oh, I'm fine with that.
Outselling ketchup?
Yeah. Although the one I bought most recently was ketchup, but Amy's the one that asked for it. Yeah, I much more frequently use mayonnaise than ketchup.
There was an article that just came out this week where this writer claimed that millennials had killed mayonnaise. But then this new study comes out. They're looking at how much people are purchasing, and contrary to popular belief, millennials have killed much, but not mayonnaise.
All right, good to know.
There you are. Terrible story out of Walt Disney World.
How is that possible?
I know, but prepare yourself.
Hey.
This is a really terrible story. Authorities say a worker has died after falling into a vat of oil at a facility near Disney. He fell into a vat while cleaning the oil and grease from a tractor trailer, and somebody was trying to save him, and they could not get him because, he was slippery. He was
Right, sure.
He was overwhelmed by fumes, slipped further down, and did not survive.
So this is tragic, just like you said, but it didn't happen at Disney. There's no vat of grease at Disney.
This is a company that converts food waste and yard waste into biofuels, compost, and mulch. So it goes to places like Disney to get the junk, and then it goes into a big vat and they convert it.
To what, Christianity?
Biofuel, compost, mulch, and fertilizer. Same thing.
They make fuel out of it.
Out of Christians? Well, that's wrong.
An American Airlines flight was forced to turn around yesterday after experiencing a mechanical issue. Now, American Airlines is not denying that this happened. However, people who were on board say they saw flames shooting from and sparks shooting from the wing. Now, American Airlines is like, we had a mechanical issue. We'll just leave it at that.
Well, are they saying that didn't happen?
They are not confirming nor denying.
Or denying, right? Okay.
But people
If
on
they do
board
that,
said sparks shooting out of the wing.
Yeah.
It's not a good look.
A North Carolina man's 65.9-pound cantaloupe has been confirmed as a new record for the giant melon.
Wow.
Or for any melon, for that matter.
No.
Well, beats the previous world record, which was 64.8-pound cantaloupe.
But for cantaloupes, a giant watermelon kicks that's butt.
Yeah, this is for cantaloupe.
Okay.
So this is a giant melon, and
She just wants to say giant melon over and over.
Thank you for
Over, exactly.
Giant melons.
Thank you.
268.8 pounds is, I believe, the current record for watermelon.
That's a much bigger melon.
That's huge. They're
You
both
have to
big
say melon,
melons.
Paul.
They're both big melons.
Giant melons. Those are some big melons.
I brought you down.
Yeah, you did.
A new
It's all that potty talk out of Sarah's mouth.
new nadir for the show. Who knew? A man in Georgia wearing no clothes broke into a liquor store and, according to surveillance video, stole something a little bit unusual.
All right. Pants.
Nope. He walked in with no clothes, left with no clothes. 61 years old. Uses a hammer to break into Beverage World. Surveillance video shows him totally naked except for shoes. He wanders around, goes into the cooler, grabs a Coke, drinks it, lays down for a little bit, and leaves. He stole a Coke.
And a smile.
This is true.
So he bashes in, naked, broken glass everywhere, steals a Coke, and then sleeps on the floor. I don't think this guy had any real regard for the law or the shop owner. It doesn't seem like he was in any hurry to get away.
No, but drank a Coke. I mean, you break into a liquor store and that's all you steal?
Not me. If I'm breaking into a liquor store, I'm stealing everything I can find.
Speaking of booze, it has been an unusually hot summer in Germany, and Germans have reacted like many of us would, drinking a lot of beer.
Wait, they need a reason in Germany to drink beer? That is not what I have heard about those guys.
Yeah, they already drank a ton of beer, but because of the heat, they are drinking more than usual, and now there's a bottle shortage.
Really?
They're having a problem with filling the beer bottles full of delightful beer because they're running out of bottles, and they're now asking their neighbors, as in countries neighboring Germany, to give them some beer bottles to help fill them up.
I would do that. I would say I prefer, and no offense, no matter what your heritage, I certainly prefer my Germans drunk than upset that they're not drunk.
There's a big movement here in Washington to can beer. I don't know the percentages, but you definitely have seen a shift from bottles to cans. But in Germany, it's only 7% of that beer is sold in cans. So maybe they'll start embracing the movement like Washington brewers here have, and they'll start canning.
Now, you as a beer connoisseur, because you hear, and it's easily to be swayed to this position, that cans taste bad, they give it a tinny flavor, it gives you Alzheimer's disease, whatever it is. Do you find a gigantic advantage to bottles than cans?
No, I used to be into that, and I don't know if they've changed the way cans are, if they put like a liner in or something, but you can't tell the difference at all anymore. So I'm a big fan of the cans.
All right, good to know. Are you a fan of giant melons?
Giant melons.
and the big cans?
Big cans. Giant melons.
Thank you, sir.
Big cans. Hoot, hoot. All right, I do have but that was my hooter. I was making a hooter.
Oh, I see.
I had no idea what that was.
Yep, I was a hooter. I do have a brand new beer blog up at kzok.com, which is brought to you by Angel of the Winds Casino Resort. 210 Brewing Company up there makes delightful beer, but you can see my beer blog right now at kzok.com. We heard you talking about your mom earlier, Danny, that your mom is... You always say 100, but how old is your mom now?
She's 94.
94. And when she has a birthday, does she have a form of celebration? A place she likes to go out, get an ice cream or a shot of Crown Royal?
Nude beach.
Nude beach, okay.
All right, maybe not. No, she's cut down a ton on her drinking, which bothers me. Like, I thought it was fun. Well, I really did. I found it funny, say... Let's see, maybe she was about 85 when she cut back. I found it funny that she'd be drunk somewhere. Usually like a celebration or something where other people were drinking and my mom would just get carried away. Now at 94, she doesn't drink, but she's not nearly as much fun.
I've had drinks with your mom before. She is a party.
Yes, she is.
There's a woman who is named Ruth Parker who this week turned 101 years old.
Yeah.
And they asked old Ruth, where would you like to have your celebration? She said the same place I like to go twice a week, every week for the past 18 years. Taco Bell.
Yeah. Get them nacho fries.
That's it, Danny. She is obsessed with the nacho fries. So they were really excited to hear that she wanted to come in for her birthday. And they gave her nacho fries. They had a little celebration, like a little party. And they said, we're looking forward to seeing her at 102 next year, and we'll make the party even bigger.
Yeah, hold your breath for that. No offense to the old lady. But no, how many people are that old? There's a reason that people aren't that old. There seems to be a cutoff date, and I'm sure that lady can make it to maybe 105, but if she didn't show up next year, I would know where she was.
Yeah. Maybe the secret is Taco Bell twice a week.
It's booze and drugs, and running around.
All right. And the nude beach, apparently.
Yep.
An inebriated passenger on a flight from Moscow to Turkey had to be restrained because of the disturbance being caused on the plane. We've all seen a drunk person on a plane, right?
Yeah, we've all been a drunk person on a plane.
That's true. Many of us have been the drunk person on the plane. Well, this woman was drunk when she got on, had a couple of drinks at the bar before getting on the flight, and then started to think she was a little hot, like temperature-wise. So she took off all her clothes but her undies. That's when she was yelling and screaming, and they decided to use seat belts to tie her hands and legs together. She then started to try to run around, fell. They had to put a jacket over her head until they were able to land the plane safely.
They put a jacket over her head, like blinded her so she couldn't see what she was doing?
Yes, because they thought she was going to hurt herself.
She's not. I mean, is that going to calm you down if you're drunk and going crazy? Is that going to calm you down if somebody puts a jacket over your head?
They think she's a horse, and those are the blinders.
I don't think it works that way.
I think it's an overreaction. But if I were flying from Moscow to Turkey, I would think, it's the end of the world. Let me have a lot to drink. And sometimes when I drink, I like to be naked. So I understand that woman's pain.
Yeah, I mean, there is something pretty good feeling about being naked while you're intoxicated. Yeah. Not that I would know. We are going to take a quick break, but when we come back, all the latest music news. Tori is going to tell us all the new music that is coming out this week for you to listen to, and lots going on in the world of entertainment and sports, all next. Starting with music news, earlier this morning we learned of the passing of Aretha Franklin. The Queen of Soul was just 76 years old, died after a battle with cancer, surrounded by family and friends. There's been talk already of concerts to celebrate the life and influence of Aretha Franklin.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, we'll keep you posted on that.
I think guys trying to do Aretha Franklin could be interesting, could be fun. There could be some guys that are just great and could do it. Maybe Axl Rose could do it. I don't know. I mean, that's a singular voice. But I would hate to see a bunch of today's pop stars, female pop stars, getting up and trying to keep up with the late Aretha Franklin. It's just, I think, be a giant, and that's one voice and one voice only.
Yeah, I'm feeling like maybe they would do some collaborations, like Stevie Wonder and Adele, or Lenny Kravitz and Ariana Grande. Like, it would be people totally reimagining just to pay respect, no pun intended.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even get it, but now I like it.
A little bit of a pun intended, right?
Hey, this has been a really exciting week for new music.
I kind of respect that.
Earlier in the show, we had Steve Perry on, and oh my gosh, we were so excited to talk to him. His new album comes out when, Tori?
It comes out October 5th, and the interview that we just had is going to be up at kzok.com. Actually, I think it is already up at kzok.com.
Hey, did anybody else think that Stevie was flirting a little bit with our Sarah?
Just a tad, yeah.
I was all for it.
I thought that. I was out in the hallways. There were people listening to the show. Thank you very much, by the way, guys in the hallways. And both of them thought, hey, I think that guy might have loved Sarah. Yeah. And I said, he doesn't know her.
Oh, wow.
No, I didn't mean he literally doesn't know. You're not. Why is everything so negative with you and those giant melons you're always talking about?
So Steve Perry and that entire interview up now at kzok.com. But to tell us a little bit more about all the new music that is coming out, we are going to get the story from Tori. Tori, I do see that something big was released yesterday from another rock legend.
Yes, so Paul McCartney has just dropped a new single off of his upcoming album, Egypt Station. So this track is titled Fuh You.
Oh.
See, there better be an explanation because I don't like it.
Soup. Definitely soup.
Yeah, exactly.
You think?
Soup.
No.
For sure. Here's a little bit of it.
Do we know anything about that?
I just want to you.
Wow.
Hey, are we positive what he's saying?
F-U-H.
Yes, F-U-H-U. He also released the full track list of his songs. He's got songs like Dominoes, Back in Brazil, Do It Now, Caesar Rock. So some really interesting names.
I had no idea it was that saucy, shall we say?
Ooh, risque.
You know what? Saucy seems implied to me. This is implied. It's an outright statement. I want to fuh you. And unless there's another explanation, that means like he's just not saying the whole world, but it's supposed to be gnarly sex or something, then either have what it takes to say the word or don't do the song.
Yeah, it's soup. It's certainly soup.
It better be soup. I love Paul McCartney. Don't be an idiot.
Well, we've got new music in stores tomorrow. Tori, tell us more.
So Al Stewart is a singer-songwriter from the UK who rose to fame in the 60s and 70s. He's reissuing his 1970 album Zero She Flies and 1972's album Orange. So Al was a key figure in the British music and played at the first ever Glastonbury Festival. He knew Yoko Ono before John Lennon did, and he shared a flat in London with Paul Simon.
Was that code?
Wow.
He knew Yoko Ono before John Lennon.
I think so. Wikipedia
I will
won't
tell you
me.
this. I'm married to a Beatles maniac, and by a maniac, that she doesn't read just books about John, Paul, George, and Ringo. She reads about wives, stepwives, because she knows everything. Yoko, bit of a rock and roll tramp. Here's the legend on this lady. She went to Paul's room, took her clothes off, and wanted to have sex with Paul. Paul asked her to leave, and she walked down the hall to John's room. That's what I've heard and read.
Wow.
Ooh, gosh. I
Yeah.
heard some interesting things about Linda, too, to be honest.
Whoops.
Did you? What'd you hear?
She slept around with a few of them, I felt. But
Oh, yeah, when she was doing the rock photography, of course she did.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't? I would. You would.
I agree. You're right. Okay, I shouldn't hate on her. Okay, so Al is best known for his hit single Year of the Cat. Do we know what that is?
I remember that song.
Yeah, Year of the Cat.
Exactly. So here's
Exactly.
a bit of Zero She Flies.
Huh.
Well, his singing part is over, but he actually sounds a bit like Nico
Oh, okay.
from the Underground, Velvet Underground.
Yeah.
Wait, who are we talking about?
Al Stewart.
Al Stewart.
Yeah, he doesn't sound like that guy. He sounds like Al Stewart, multi-platinum artist. Everybody knows Al Stewart songs. Most poor bastard was stuck with Year of the Cat. In my opinion, kind of his silliest song, but he is great.
Well, I know we've got something coming out from everyone's favorite German rockers, the Scorpions.
Yes, so the Scorpions are re-releasing their 1977 album Taken by Force. So this deluxe vinyl edition features 2 LPs, remasters, instrumentals, and demos. Reading the reviews, Scorpions fans really seem to love this record. It features more kind of a raw, darker side to the Scorpions.
Is this it right here?
This is it right here.
Huh.
I gotta confess, I did not know the Scorpions had their first album come out in 1977. I thought they were an 80s band.
I know, me too.
I think they're an 80s success.
Yeah.
In the 70s, they did that one hit, what was it called? 99 Luftballons? I think that was their big hit.
Different.
Fun fact, though, this song
Yeah.
playing is called We'll Burn the Sky and features lyrics written by Jimi Hendrix's last girlfriend, who later ended up dating Uli John Roth, guitarist for the Scorpions.
Huh, that's
Kind of weird.
Yeah.
Have they decided yet if we're supposed to call them the Scorpions or just Scorpions? Because that's always confusing to me.
Yeah, it's like
Big
the
difference.
Foo Fighters. Yeah, Scorpions.
Sorry, I apologize.
You know what it is in real life? It's the 99 or 99.
What?
If you call the freeway the 99 around here, people hassle me all day. It's not the Mr. California, who I haven't lived for like 20 years. It's not the 99, it's 99.
Right.
But it
I thought you were
is
talking
the
about-
White Center.
Yeah, exactly.
It is
Everybody
the White
knows it's the
Center.
White Center,
Everybody
yeah.
knows that.
And I thought you were talking about those Luft balloons again. I got very confused.
That's different entirely. They're red.
Tori, anything else?
Yes, so it's just been announced that the Kinks will be reissuing their sixth studio album. The Kinks are the Village Green Preservation Society, which is a weird name.
Yeah.
But so this is going to be a special 5 CD box set in honor of the album's 50th anniversary.
Oh, wow.
Yes, so Ray Davies says this album is about his imaginary village. Village Green is a place where you never grow up. And although this record failed to chart upon its release, it's widely considered one of the most influential and important works by the Kinks.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, yeah. You know, it's weird, an idea, a place where you never grow old. You know what they could have called it? Never Neverland.
Wow, I wonder where he got that from. So this release, you'll get singles, bonus tracks, B-sides, alternate mixes, demos, and a full disc containing interviews from the BBC.
Interesting. Do we have a price
Well, we
tag on
better
this
love
bad
it, or
boy?
Dave Davies is going to call us.
I could not find a price, but it comes out on October 26th.
All right. Thank you, Tori.
Yes.
Anything
Thank
else?
you, Tori.
The rest will be up at kzok.com.
Fantastic. All right, want to remind you guys that Vegas is the place to be September 21st and 22nd. To be precise, the T-Mobile Arena. It's for our iHeartRadio Music Festival. Performances from Fleetwood Mac, Leonard Skinner, Justin Timberlake, Mariah Carey, Jack White, and many, many more. There are going to be music collaborations you simply will not see anywhere else. And you, listening, could be headed to the show on us, including hotel and airfare for two. You're listening for the next keyword, and you texted to 200-200 for your chance to win. You can get all the info at kzok.com. Music news is over, but on to entertainment. Ellen DeGeneres is...
Yeah.
What?
I said, yeah, I love her.
Everybody loves Ellen.
Yeah. Well, not everybody.
No?
No, Kathy Griffin doesn't.
Oh. Is that true? I hadn't heard that.
Well, I would assume so. Like, she won't book Kathy Griffin on her show because she outs people without asking.
Oh, okay.
And Ellen does not approve.
Ellen DeGeneres is gearing up to launch a new clothing brand in Walmart stores. Now, she is known for having a relaxed signature style. She likes to wear, pants and T-shirts and the loose blazers. So she is going to be teaming up with Walmart for a new women's wear line, T-shirts, footwear, accessories, denim. And it's going to be sizes from 0 to 20. And in footwear, size 5 through 12. So she wants to be all-inclusive.
No, that's great.
That'll be a big seller, I think. And you put Ellen and Walmart together, I think it's going to work out.
Yeah, I trust her a great deal. I like her show. I love her comedy. I watched her when she was a very young lady, when the HBO's New Comedy Award or some such thing. She had one ding in her career that didn't work. She had a style show, and I think it was it building furniture or styling houses, whatever. That didn't work out, but that's 1 out of 1,000 things that lady touches that turn to gold.
All right, I'm just seeing this as well. This collection in Walmart stores, it will be out September 10th. All pieces will be under $30.
Yeah,
you figure Walmart,
right?
yeah.
That's very inexpensive. In some TV news, 5 weeks after its second season debuted on Netflix, Anne with an E is getting a third season. This is done through the CBC and Netflix, and it is based on the inspirational novel Anne of Green Gables.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so I have not watched this show, but it's supposed to be quite good, and it's just a reimagining of that very, very popular book.
Yeah, and you are no qualified adolescent girl, or were never a qualified adolescent girl unless you've read that.
Exactly. And then begged your parents to take you to Prince Edward Island, where it takes place, and your parents say no, and it breaks your heart, and you're mad at them forever. Was that too much information?
That's exactly what happened to me, and now I feel weird.
I guess I can be counted amongst the no qualified adolescent girls because I've never read it.
Oh, Paul.
But in my defense, there's no proof that I can read. So
I guess that's true.
Ryan Phillippe's drama Shooter has run out of ammo. USA Network has opted to cancel the drama based on the 2007 feature film of the same name. It ran into a lot of obstacles. They were about to come out with it, and gosh, I hate saying this, but I cannot remember which tragic shooting happened. When this show first started, they had to pull it from airing, and then they brought it back, and it just has not done all that well, and they said it's time to say goodbye to Shooter.
Well, it was I actually didn't see the show, but I'm a big fan. It starred Mark Wahlberg, the movie.
Yeah.
And it was about a guy set up to make it look that he shot the president of the United States from this really long distance, and there's only one guy who could have done it, sniper Mark Wahlberg, and then it turns out to be fake, and he runs around and he tries to prove his innocence for the rest of the movie, but it was a one-trick pony. It's like this guy could shoot from far away, and it just didn't work for me, and now it sounds like the series didn't work.
Yep. Let's take a look at sports. Sports brought to you by Bradley Johnson Attorneys. If you're facing a DUI, call 1-800-DUI-AWAY. That's 1-800-DUI-AWAY. It took extra innings, 12 innings, in fact, but the Mariners were able to beat the Oakland Athletics 2-0. Thanks to D. Gordon.
Oh, the very fun to watch D. Gordon. Just anytime he gets, especially when he gets a good hit, he has such a celebration and such a big smile on his face. He was strutting through the dugout when he crossed home plate. He kissed both of his biceps,
which are very tiny.
Yeah. Because he's not known as a big hitter, certainly not a power hitter, a home run hitter. So for him to get that 2-run shot to finally take him out of the tie after 12 innings, it was awesome.
And they say he's really been a great addition to the team because he gets everyone else excited.
Yeah.
He has such passion for the sport, and it's contagious. that okay?
Yeah,
to
well,
say?
in my high school, believe it or not, there was a baseball team and a basketball team. It was stupid. I don't think we ever won anything at any time. And we played other stupid schools. It wasn't just like we played real schools, so of course we didn't win. But our member, his name's Pete Kahane, and he won most valuable player on our baseball team, and I don't believe he ever got a hit. He was just the guy that, come on, you guys, through the whole game, never sat down, yelled positive things at our team, yelled negative things at their team. It was, and he won most, I don't know, but he won a big award for me on the baseball team where he never got a hit.
It's really an important part of sports is keeping the team, hyped up.
Yep.
Well, we'd be great at that.
Yeah.
The Mariners are off today. Up next, the Dodgers come to town. First pitch tomorrow, 7:10. Wade LeBlanc and Walker Buehler. The Storm play again tomorrow. The New York Liberty tip-off is at 7. And the team announced that they will be playing next season at Alaska Airlines Arena, UW's Alaska Airlines Arena, and that's because Key Arena is being renovated. In some soccer news, looks like Mark Wahlberg may be looking to expand his portfolio. He, bought a Chevy dealer in Ohio.
Right. Yeah, right. Oddly.
Oddly.
Yeah. Now they're asking him if he's got any other eyes on industry there. And he said, well, I'm hearing that the Columbus Crew, the soccer club, might be getting moved to Austin.
Yeah.
I don't want that to happen. So if I need to learn a little bit and put money towards keeping the team here, I will.
What's his connection to
they?
Ohio?
Don't know.
They're in Columbus, Ohio.
Columbus.
All right. And he's got a dealership in Ohio. So, so it's not the sports and the cars. It's Ohio. What the hell? Because he's from Boston. His family's from Boston. What's the deal on that? Do you know, Sarah?
Not a clue.
All right.
When he announced the car dealership, I tried to find it. I could not. Maybe he's just spreading the love.
Wow. Well, Columbus Crew fans will be very excited to hear that because they were super bummed when rumors started flying about that team moving.
You guys remember yesterday we talked a bit about this beverage company, Body Armor, the sports drink.
Yeah.
Well, Coca-Cola this week announced it had purchased a minority stake in that drink, Body Armor. Kobe Bryant had made an investment back in 2014. Because of this, they now say his investment has skyrocketed to $400 million. So he put in 6, and they say it looks like he is going to, $200 million. He put in 6, and with that news this week of Coca-Cola taking part, his $6 million is now $200 million.
Jeez.
And it's a crowded market. Doesn't Coca-Cola already own an or more than one energy drink?
I can never keep track of. I thought PepsiCo are the ones who owned Powerade.
Powerade, yeah, that's the other big one with Gatorade. But it is such a big market, and this Body Armor is being marketed at least as being a healthier alternative to a much lower sugar alternative to Gatorade and Powerade. And
but as much caffeine?
I don't know about the caffeine
They
level.
tend not to have caffeine.
Well, then why is it an energy drink?
It's like it's more for replenishing electrolytes. That type of, I guess not energy drink, but sports drink.
Sports drinks
is what it is.
All right, okay.
Yeah. Sports brought to you by Bradley Johnson Attorneys. If you're facing a DUI, call 1-800-DUI-AWAY. That's 1-800-DUI-AWAY. I told you guys I have a brand new beer blog up at kzok.com, and I want to share the love. If you can tell us where Sarah's Beaver has been tomorrow at 7:50, you can win a $50 gift card to Georgetown Brewing. Delicious.
I want to win that. Can I win?
You can't, but you can look at my beaver.
Oh, another thing up at kzok.com. If you missed earlier our interview with Steve Perry, Steve Perry was nice enough to come on with us. The new music and the interview both up at kzok.com.
Danny,
Go ahead.
Did you notice that you and Steve Perry do sound a little similar?
No. And I'm wearing headphones. And no, I didn't, because I notice sometimes when people, I always think when I hear a commercial, I think, oh, is that me? So I recognize voices that sound like me. Did he sound like me?
He just has that the husky, little scratchy Steve Perry voice. I've never spoken to him before, but his singing, it's all about the raspy quality of his voice, which I thought you guys shared.
So does Rod Stewart. I don't sound like him. The lady that played Maude, I don't sound like her.
Oh, you sound just like her.
I do not sound like Maud. I do not sound like B. Arthur. You know, I will have to say that Steve Perry, sweetest guy in the whole wide world. And I am going to give him this. The second best voice you're going to hear today on our radio station. Lovely voice, probably second best you're going to hear anywhere. First best you're asking? I'll tell you, Steve Slayton is going to walk in this room and will swoon you with his beautiful, beautiful voice. And also, he's going to play a bunch of classic rock and roll for your listening pleasure. We should get out of his way right now, so bye.